Here we go. It's been a while since we've done one of these because it's not election season, but this is a big one tonight. So you can use the hashtag Crowder Town Hall tonight. We're going to be streaming at 8 Eastern because we're in Central, so I always have to go through the anguish of adding one. They'll be doing a Donald Trump presidential town hall, Republican town hall with GOP voters, and we'll be streaming it live and live fact-checking the fact-checkers. We have a promo code going on right now, lighterwithcrowder.com/MugClub. You enter in the promo code Crowder Town Hall, right?
Yep. You get $10
Crowder Town Hall, you get $10 off, or we still have the promo if you send in your screenshot of proof of purchase of any right-leaning streaming service to, what is the email?
It's a free MugClub at lighterwithcrowder.com.
Free MugClub at lighterwithcrowder.com. We give you 3 months free. If you don't like it, you can bounce. So just send in your screenshot. A lot to get to tonight. So what do you expect? Comment below. Hit like. If you're on YouTube, you should head on over to Rumble. There you go. Ding. Before I get to the drinking game rules, we have Gerald A. in studio, and he is sick. He's playing his flu game tonight.
I am playing my flu game, but don't worry, I came prepared. The cure's all that ails you.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think that's actually how it works, but maybe if it's mulled with spices.
Well, maybe some rum would do that. I don't know. Or
I have no. Oh yeah, spiced rum. That's right. But not all rum is spiced, Gerald. Already, he gets it wrong.
He
gets it wrong.
What kind of pirate are you anyway?
Well, not a good one.
I think it's implied. Also, to my left, your right. So you have to do the stage. You're technically upstage a little bit for the audience. We do a little bit of stage terminology. Oh, are you playing his theme music?
Yeah, why not? Bring it on.
It's Brian Kelly. He's going to be in New Brunswick, New Jersey. See, I'm thinking of the province.
Stress Factory.
May 11th through the 13th. You can go to briancallen.com for more dates. Looking forward to tonight?
I'm excited. I have my clipboard. I don't know what's on here, but it looks official. So.
Well, you would if you did the
I'm
prep.
gonna lick my finger when I turn the page.
Now,
they don't call him the best color man in the business for nothing.
Just don't do it with a comic book because that takes its street value from $15,000 to nothing.
I didn't know.
I found that out.
But it's my saliva, and I'm a celebrity, so.
So we have a drinking game tonight, by the way. You got to already make an adjustment here.
What happened? I got to get. Well, I can use my stage voice.
In the lower third there, Toolman. The drinking game rules. I'll make sure I have these rules. You can play along with us. And send in your, I don't know, your sloshed pictures. Anytime you hear any of the above, you take a drink. If you hear January 6th,
boom.
If you hear excuse me, if you hear the words indictment or impeachment, anytime there's a thug life moment, and anytime Donald Trump insults the host.
Can I ask for,
you finish your drink.
Number 2, please, because I don't think that was fair. I need it.
Anytime you hear, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Excuse you. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse you. You should be. I'm excusing. No, I excuse you. Excuse me.
I won't be sipping my wine. I'll be swilling my wine.
We also, by the way, because Title 42 is ending, so we actually have some correspondence tonight. We have, first off, we go now live to the border. We have a live border cam.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Well, that is tough. We also have a live Biden cam tonight, so we actually we spared no expense. We have a camera over there at the White House to see what's going on. And Thomas Finnegan is on the ground tonight at the town hall.
Fantastic.
So what do you guys expect tonight? Here's what I will say, and bring it up there in the lower box so that people know it's ready to go there, Toolman. I expect the world to remember what they liked about Donald Trump tonight. I expect it to be bias. But you have Caitlin Collins, and I can hear your little boy out there screaming. What the hell is happening?
So it's a bomb going off. Don't worry. It's
all right. Well, that's fine. Hey, look, it's older, fatter Josh Gad on CNN.
And very good.
Kate, filling out nicely.
It's Caitlin Collins is going to be doing this tonight. And she's had a lot of run-ins with Donald Trump, right? I expect there to be intense biases. And we'll be fact-checking that. I expect it to be tilted. And I expect them to start with the premise that is a lie. I've been watching CNN all day, so you don't have to, where they've been talking about Donald Trump losing this civil lawsuit. By the way, not sexual assault, battery. This is battery. And they changed the statute of limitations just last year so that it would extend into Thanksgiving this year so that they could say that's battery. They're going to be bringing that up. And they were talking about it today, and they said, how does this hurt Trump? How does this hurt Donald Trump? And Jake Tapper said, along with one of his lackeys, well, you know, for people who are always Trump, they'll still be always Trump. But this may affect the Republicans who are mostly focused on winning a general. They don't want to acknowledge that the last two polls have Donald Trump beating Biden in a general, and by more than DeSantis. Doesn't matter where you line up. That's the definition of fake news. Yeah. You do not have to start with right now, all this bombastic prickishness. That's why Donald Trump beats Joe Biden by a wider margin, by a heftier margin than DeSantis. So I expect them to be biased. I expect them to not really face up to that fact right now, because the whole narrative is, if you want Donald Trump, okay, he has this base, but he won't win in a general. That doesn't seem to be the case. And I expect them to bring up the fake sexual assault. And by that I mean he wasn't actually found guilty of sexual assault, just battery and defamation.
Yeah. Well, and he'll appeal that. I'm assuming. I assume you can appeal a civil verdict. I don't know, man. I'm not a legal scholar over here. I'm not.
Get Ricada on here.
I know, right? Exactly.
Wouldn't you say that people are tuning in though to see Trump go off script, because he's been coached a certain way, but we want to see more of what he did in the deposition. He's just such a loose cannon that you never know, and this could be historic.
Yeah, I think it's going to introduce people to Donald Trump all over again.
Yes. Which is great.
It's like renewing your vows.
It's must-watch TV. Let's be honest. CNN.
And you made a good point why they have Caitlin Collins, you think. And by the way, for those who don't know, Caitlin Collins is the one with Harry Forums at CNN. Go ahead.
I thought it was a little bit weird because you've got Jake Tapper and you've got Wolf Blitzer, these two, and it's not because they're men. Don't get me wrong. I'll get to that point in just a second.
They're not men. They're not men. Sipping their macchiatos and their pubic hair frickin' beards.
A lot of the hosts at CNN weren't men, even though they were men. If you know what I mean. I think the problem is that you've put kind of an attractive younger woman out there with Donald Trump, so that if Donald Trump pushes back, like his characteristic thing to do is to push back on the news and call them fake news, it'll look like he's beating up on somebody. If it's a guy, it's a different story, right?
Unless it's Stelter, but
I think well, that's true.
They don't bring him back. You see him talking trash about Tucker.
Yeah,
it's like Tucker was toxic to Fox News. He was hemorrhaging sponsors. Have you guys heard of clinical projection?
I'm straight.
The #1 show in all of cable news was toxic. Oh my God, he's defecting.
Exactly. No, so I think what you'll hear a lot of from Caitlin is if there's a legitimate question asked by a Republican voter, right? The GOP primary, that's the people that are supposed to be in the room. You'll hear a or actually, right, from her to try to press Donald Trump on something where she would never press Joe Biden.
And it also helps set her up to ask him about.
Yes.
Set it up as though he's guilty of rape or sexual assault, right?
Yes.
And just
how does it feel to be a rapist, Mr. Former President?
Right, exactly. That's in so many words. And here's the thing that you need to understand. People will say, "Oh, you're gaslit. Oh, this is just the attack they use against women." Jean A. Carroll?
Jean Carroll.
Jean
Carroll. Her name is E.
Wait. Is it Jean E. Carroll?
I think it's E. Jean Carroll.
Her last name is Carroll.
Yes.
And
we know that.
In there somewhere.
And when I say she's an insane person, look, this is the person who sued Donald Trump decades later for a rape that didn't happen, but sexual battery, which means he touched her and she didn't like it. But this is, I have plenty of clips. Just see this. She's crazy.
Which one is this?
Oh, clip sexy.
Clip sexy.
What did you say it? There.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more.
You're fascinating to talk to.
You're fascinating.
By the way, she's looking at his shoulder for no reason. Yeah, exactly. She's looking straight at his chest. She's just going, most people think rape is sexy.
That is the most awkward I have seen him. Like,
I don't think she knows that Anderson Cooper's gay.
Yeah.
I think she's like, I think rape is sexy, Anderson.
She's licking her lips.
I like me a silverhead fox. He's like, I like dick. What's going on?
Ew.
Well,
what?
Yeah.
What, you're about to say something, Brian?
She didn't take her eyes off his delicious torso.
No.
To me, you're just a torso. To me, you're just a body.
By the way, the guy right now on CNN, bring this up full screen. Do you think that this guy believes he's fooling anybody with that hairpiece?
Oh, that's totally weird.
Like, do you think that he's sitting there like, no, it's like Frank Luntz. No one's the wiser. They're looking at my shitty sneakers.
So your sneakers are not.
Face looks tight for a 50-year-old.
So I'm trying to think, what do we think are the most important clips for people to see here? I think probably some clips between Collins and Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best, right? So she was, I'll go through a couple of things really quickly. In 2014, hired by the Daily Caller, 2017, Daily Caller White House correspondent, moved over to CNN in 2017, and actually said that obviously the Daily Caller, and this is a quote from her, is a more ideologically aligned organization than CNN, which is worldwide and has such a range of coverage. Trying to get hired much, I think. Right.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit weird there. But then she's named 2021 CNN chief White House correspondent by
Who owned the chief?
Right.
I just want to hear Trump. Do you think what's he over under? Trump looks at her and goes, "You're not my type either."
Yeah.
Honestly.
Let's, you know what? Tweet in. You can tweet me at #Crowder. Use the hashtag Crowder Town Hall. Let's see who thinks that's a good. I bet you that's going to happen.
I got to hear that. I guarantee. Because if she starts pressing him, he's going to. Yeah. And I'll be honest. I'll say it again. I don't want to be rude. You're not my type.
You're not my type either.
I wouldn't want to swoon you.
You're not. No, excuse me. You're not my type. Don't take it personally. A lot of people, because my type, frankly, is pretty. I like good-looking, attractive. I noticed Gerald used that term loosely tonight, Caitlin. Attractive, right? It's just that's what people tell me. I would never say that. And that's my type. And you're frankly not that.
Right, your teeth are too small.
So it's just personal preference. I like pretty women. I like feminine women. I like women who are good looking. I like women who they're attractive, and you're not.
You're not.
That's how he would.
Got a real way with words, Mr. President.
10 minutes later, she's like, okay.
Yeah. So let's show you. This is the person they chose to do this town hall with Donald Trump, who, by the way, beats Joe Biden, former Vice President Biden, by a wide margin right now, by even more than DeSantis. Yeah. They're pretty close. DeSantis and Donald Trump are within the margin of error as far as by how much they beat Biden, but they are not within the margin of error, according to ABC and Washington Post. Now, 2 polls in a row in beating Biden. So this is damage control. I expect this to be a way to try and kneecap Donald Trump, to try and Tanya Harding him before he gets started. Yeah. And that's why they picked the hairy forum lady at CNN. Let's show you a montage of their interactions that have been contentious.
You ran your campaign promising supporters that Mexico is going to pay for the wall and that the wall was going to be made of concrete. You just said earlier that the wall could be made of steel, and right now our government is shut down over a demand from your administration that the American taxpayer pay for the wall. So how can you say you're not failing on that promise to your supporters?
Very nice question, so beautifully asked, even though I just answered it.
Has any governor agreed that you have the authority to decide when their state
I haven't asked anybody because I don't. You know why? Because I don't have to. I think it was a fake report done by CNN.
So can I ask you a question?
What do you have? Go ahead. No, that's enough. Go ahead.
But that wasn't my question.
The problem is you don't write the truth. So as far as I'm concerned, I want to go. I want to go to the next.
Can I ask you that? Last week you said mask. Last week, well, real quick. Last week you said
thank you very
mask
much, everybody. Thank you.
So is she the one? That's
the one who's conducting this tonight.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And don't forget, they actually brought her in to kind of co-host the morning show that has been so wonderful with Don Lemon and Poppy Harlow.
Yes.
And obviously
there's a montage there, but we can go to it later because I think we. Donald Trump appear on CNN at all. I think I know your opinion, Brian. Do you think it's a good idea for him to appear?
I do indeed.
I knew he would say that. I think you're right because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're predicating this on reaching other people, right? Having a dialogue across the aisle.
Well, I'm more interested in engaging. I like that he's engaging with them in the belly of the beast.
And I agree.
He's in the maw, in the round.
I agree with that, except for the fact that CNN has no audience if not for Donald Trump. It's the same reason that you don't just debate every single Twitter egg. Donald Trump is giving. They need Donald Trump.
But he can use that to his advantage. Yes. I'm making your ratings. You need me. That to me is a pretty cool card.
That's a good point, but I think unfortunately they're so short-sighted they don't care. They still want to get rid of.
Do you not think he should? Would you have advised him not to do?
I think that Donald Trump he should have done it just independently. Is what I think. That's what he should. At least the first go around should have done it. For example, he does some stuff on Rumble or whether it would be
so
Truth
as not
Social.
to give CNN.
Yeah, he should have done it first. That way he can. It's almost like shopping it around. People go, oh my gosh, look at what he did. He did way bigger numbers than our network could do with him. And then he says, who wants some? Who wants the biggest numbers? At that point, then he can maybe have some influence.
But what about the cachet he gets from being able to beat or at least engage with people who he knows have a bias against him?
I don't think that's why he's doing it, though. I think he's doing it because he's mad at Fox News, and rightfully so. Because I think more damaging than lies, or even lies by omission, which are very damaging. It goes this way. What's most damaging with the media? Okay. Lies, outright lies, bias. That would be like MSNBC. Okay, but everyone knows what they're getting. Lies by omission. That would be CNN once upon a time when they had actual ratings.
Right.
Even more dangerous are half-truths. And that's what you get at Fox News. And I think that Donald Trump feels really burned by that because he knows that they were actively trying to collude against him, to use the word, and they were supposed to be out. It's very different when someone puts on your team jersey.
Yeah.
Right? It ends up being, like in Christianity, be apostasy. So let's look at CNN. They just had their, by the way, lowest rated month in a decade. You know what their numbers were during prime time?
What?
122,000.
Ain't close to Crowder. Sorry.
Nary,
said it out loud.
And by the way, nary a demo viewer.
Nary a demo.
No, I think this was just Bill Devane watching
check
122,000 times.
Let me just check my. Yep, that's what it says right there. So
That's
it's true.
terrible, man.
So lowest rated month, they fired Brian Stelter. They fired Don Lemon. CNN Plus was canceled after 2 weeks?
1 month, less than a month. I think
it was less than a month.
Yeah.
So they need Donald Trump, and he really is giving them a leg up. And you guys comment. Look, you tell me what you guys think. I have two minds about it. I think he should have done it independently first.
So
You know what I think would have been a great thing to do, and I'm serious. He should have said, "Pay me $1 million."
Yes,
for real. Like you want me on you. Pay me half the advertising revenue.
Was just awarded to that crazy broad Carol.
$5 million.
Pay me, I don't know, $5 million.
I'll do it.
Or maybe 5 million batteries you could give me.
Pay my legal fees.
Yeah.
Energizer, none of that generic shit.
So there's two things that I like about this. One, this could be an epic troll, right? Because he knows CNN is going to get absolutely lambasted, right, for this. And
He already have.
Right. And people are going to be mad at him. But pair this with, he said he's not going to do the first debate. And the first debate in August is on what network? Fox.
Right.
Right? So it's a bit of a power play, but it's also a pretty cool troll because CNN can't win.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
What happens is
Everybody who likes CNN is pissed off.
He knows that they have to watch this rating spike, and then like a fart in the wind, gone forever. It really is. I mean, it's so much more because it's more painful to have loved Brian and lost. They say some.
That's right. Touch me again. I love
Some
that.
say that. Well, I don't want to
Take
put
your time.
battery.
Oh, sorry.
By the way, your sweater's pilling.
Yeah.
Ever heard of dry cleaning?
This is cashmere.
Cashmere.
Notice how I say cashmere?
Yeah, I do.
I got it from the Kashmir Valley, everyone.
I don't even think they call it that there.
Not true at all.
Maybe
in
not.
I have
fact.
no idea. So use the promo
So soft
code
on the top, so hard.
Crowder Town Hall.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. At louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub. And of course, Crowder Town Hall is the hashtag. Is she preparing right now? The one in the white
I think
pantsuit?
is she
I don't know. You were
speaking?
battering me.
I don't know.
Couldn't concentrate.
There's one more minute. Donald Trump's like, I'll come out when I'm ready.
Yes.
He'll take his time.
There's a lot of Tony Clifton in Donald Trump. There really is. He's just sitting back there. I'm warming up my vocal cords. Boring. Whoa. If he smoked, he would blow the cigarette in your face.
Boring. You know, this makes him look brave, though, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like, bring it on. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
I just hope
You're a
he comes.
disgrace.
Now I want him to come out as Tony Clifton.
I know, right? That'd be great.
I was just brought Caitlin Collins. Think the white pantsuit make you look more slim? Take the attention off your forearms, huh?
He should come out in a Biden mask.
Oh, there's Wolf, lowest score ever on Celebrity Jeopardy. Blitzer, huh?
You know he'd say that too.
What you got? Negative 1,400? Asshole. Oh, look, a blank screen on CNN.
we
That's
go,
not our
CNN.
technical difficulty,
Prime
just to be
time.
clear.
No, not us.
Oh, I think this means that they're bringing it in. Let's
Here he
see.
is,
All
here
right,
he
let's
is.
look at their stinger.
Wow. Does he have my intro music?
No.
He should.
Give me a little more juice there, Yakuza, so we can hear it.
Welcome to New Hampshire, the first GOP primary state. We're live here at St. Anselm College for CNN's town hall with former President Donald Trump. I'm Caitlin Collins.
Just here from the
Tonight,
back room.
President Trump
That's
is here
president
as
to
he
you,
embarks on a
bitch.
campaign unlike any other in the history of U.S. presidential
attractive.
elections. He's the first former president in more than a century to seek a return to the White House, and he is currently leading the Republican field while also facing multiple criminal investigations and an indictment. Just yesterday,
drink,
he was found liable
indictment.
for
Son of a
sexual
gun.
abuse and
Yeah.
defamation.
Are we sure
No
about that?
questions
Brian, you
are
have
off
to
the
drink.
table, and we agreed to
Drink
no
your amazing
conditions.
wine.
We're here to give voters the answers that they deserve. Our audience is made up of Republicans and undeclared
White
voters
people.
who plan to take part in New Hampshire's Republican primary.
Our whites
They'll
in
get
New
the
Hampshire.
chance to question the former
Have a
president
great-
More
directly.
diversity, please.
These voters and the issues that they care about
Oh,
the
there's
most
a black guy.
will help
There we go.
decide if former President Trump will get a second chance
He's
to
asking a
take
question.
on President Joe Biden. Please
It's
welcome
a
the
New
frontrunner
Hampshire
for the
back.
Republican
I know.
nomination, former President Donald Trump.
Look at that
He
face.
looks like he just woke up from a nap.
He's looking at. Look. Do you notice he's looking at the audience and not her? That's the dynamic that he deliberately sets up. He answers to them, not to Harry Forum, Caitlin Collins. Caitlin Collins.
Caitlin.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got quite a crowd. President Trump, thank you for your time here tonight. We got a great crowd here in New Hampshire, a lot of voters with a lot of questions about what your 2024 term would look like, what
More
another
the
Trump
same.
term would look like. We'll get to the voters shortly. But
I killed it
your
before.
polls show that you are dominating the Republican race right now, but you are also under active federal investigation for trying to overturn the 2020 election results. Your first term ended in the deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results. Why should Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I actually say we did far better in that election. Got the most that anybody's ever gotten as a sitting president of the United States. I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people.
Is that counted as
an insult?
That's insulting the host.
Maybe a
Wait,
couple
that's
that
insulting the
don't,
host. That's
but
drink the whole thing.
most
Let's
people
finish your drink.
understand what happened.
I
It was
can't
a
do that
rigged
yet.
election.
5 minutes
and
in?
It's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country. All over the world, they looked at it. And they saw exactly what everyone else saw. You look, even if you just look recently with the 51 intelligence agents, that made a 16-point difference. If you look at the
Mr.
FBI,
President.
if you look at the FBI and
He paused
Twitter,
for a second, then
they call
decided,
Twitter files,
"No, I'm not
made a
gonna."
big difference. If you look at
Mr.
True the
President, back
Vote,
to what you just said there, though. It was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election. You and your supporters lost more than 60 court cases on the election. It's been nearly 2.5 years. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go
He's not
on.
gonna do
If
that.
you look at True
He
the
shouldn't.
Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government cameras, where they were stuffing ballot boxes. So with all of that, I think it's a shame that what happened. I think it's a very sad thing for our country. I think it's a very sad thing, frankly, for the world, because if you look at what's gone to our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad. You look at the taxes, you look at inflation, what's happened to inflation, it's just destroying our country.
It's really inflated.
We've really become, in many ways, a third world country. And it's very sad
This
what's
is a
happened in this
strong,
administration.
strong start
and it's,
for him.
something that will turn around on day one. We were energy independent. Now energy is at a level that we've never had to pay before. Nobody can afford to continue to pay what's happening with energy.
No,
But
he's
we
not.
were energy independent.
He's coming out. He's
We
setting
were
the
getting
pace
out of
right now, where he's
Afghanistan
listing
with
his accomplishments.
strength
That
and
contrast
dignity.
is really valuable.
And instead we got
And
out
that
with
way,
like fools, probably
he
the
can't
most
allow her to
embarrassing
just
moment
tilt it. Right away, she tried to go,
Immediately.
"Oh, election," and he didn't. Okay.
Policy tonight, but what you just said there, Republican officials debunked those claims about fraudulent ballots. We want to give you a chance tonight.
Who?
Republican officials in Georgia
Name
and
them.
every
Which
single
ones?
state. There is no your own election officials, Mr. President. So we wanted to give you a
People were
chance.
afraid to take on the issue. But we have a big problem in this country. We have
we wanted to give you a
elections.
chance to
We have
acknowledge the
elections
results.
that were horrible.
If Ron
If you look at
DeSantis
what
doesn't
happened
take
in
on election integrity, he has not a chance. Calling it right now.
Yeah.
This is what people want. People may try and gaslight you.
That you're making tonight from voters on this topic. I want to bring in Scott Dustin from Concord. He works in insurance litigation. He's an undeclared voter. That's what they call independents in New Hampshire, as you know.
Is he?
He did
That
vote
would get
for
him
you
some
in 2020.
iodine.
Scott, what's your question for the president?
Hi, President Trump. Welcome back to New Hampshire.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he looks
Will you
Oh,
suspend
now I feel bad.
polarizing talk of election fraud during your run for president?
Will I suspend? Excuse me. What?
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud?
Yeah, that's a
during
typical
your run
Republican.
for president.
Yeah,
All
unless
I
see
talk to
election
Republicans, by the way, conservatives every day. Never once would I expect to hear them say, "Will you suspend polarizing election talk?"
Right, exactly.
By the
So
way, it's also January 6th, so drink.
We have our first fact check, actually, if we can get a fact check really quickly here. Fact check. So 50 of those 60 cases were dismissed before being heard, not lost.
Exactly.
And that's what Caitlin said. You lost 60 cases, 50, that was great. Good job, research team.
Yep.
50 thrown out, or not even going to trial, not even being heard, just dismissed.
They didn't even go through the trouble of changing a statute of limitations and changing the law so they could extend it.
That takes planning.
With sexual battery.
Who knows?
By the way, I do believe he commits sexual battery, this guy, because he keeps going and going and go. Let's go to the next. Oh, They're going to a break.
Sounds
Okay.
like he.
Oh, no, they're not. Never mind.
Election
Just a
results
fake
in the
aerial
past.
shot for
You
no
once
reason.
Suggested
Hey, I guess he had a good answer.
Call it a crane shot.
Constitution. Do you stand by those comments?
No. You were able to do certain things. I'm not talking about terminating the Constitution. I'm talking about cherishing the Constitution. The Constitution says that we're supposed to have legal and well-maintained and well-looked-at elections, and we didn't have that. I cherish our Constitution, but we have to live up to the Constitution. We weren't living up to the Constitution.
I was just saying there's no evidence of that election fraud. You did once
You're
tweet.
supposed to say that, but I'm glad you said that.
Thug life moment. Drink.
That was a horrible election, and unless somebody's very stupid, and I know you very well, you're not stupid at all, but you perhaps are given an agenda or you have an agenda. Look, we have to have honest elections in our country. We have open borders. We have. You look at what's happening. I mean, we have
That white guy in the
elections, we have
vest
open
looked
borders.
pissed.
Look at what's happening on the border. Millions and millions of people are coming here. They're being released from prisons. They're being released from mental institutions. And we have millions of people pouring into our country. And now they're getting rid of Title 42, which I put on, which kept people out that were sick. And
Mr. President, we have a lot of questions about immigration to get to tonight. Obviously, that's a big topic, especially given what's expected to happen tomorrow. But I want to talk about the influence you have over your voters. It's very clear that you are very influential over them. You have a lot of impact. I've been to many of your rallies and seen it up close, which raised a lot of questions about the influence that we saw that you had on them on January 6th and your support
Drink
for the
January
attack on the
6th.
Capitol.
Boy, we're too good. By the way, bring back the drinking game rules.
I need more.
Brian needs more red wine.
You know, January 6th was, again, we go back to it, but January 6th had to do with the fact that hundreds
That's all counted
of
under one,
thousands
right?
of
No,
people,
got to
you
drink
don't
again.
see the pictures
Send
very
in
often.
our new
A lot of the
intern
people
because
here
of Title
probably
42.
were
He
there.
can
January
refill us.
6th, it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. That was prior to the walk down to the Capitol building. I don't think, and I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. I've never spoken to a crowd as large as this. And that was because they thought the election was rigged. And they were there proud. They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day. And what I was asked to do, I wasn't involved in it very much. I was asked to come in, would I make a speech? I made a speech. I said, walk peacefully and patriotically, you know, many different things. In fact, I brought a list of things. I don't want to bore the audience,
You
but
never
we
hear
can
that.
go sentence after sentence after sentence of things I said and things I put out. One of the big problems was that Nancy Pelosi,
Calling it now, the
Crazy
media's going to say he
Nancy,
called
is
January 6th a beautiful day.
Yeah.
They're going
Crazy
to start playing
Nancy
Bono.
Pelosi and the
Crazy
mayor of
Nancy
Washington
Pelosi.
were in charge, as
Drink.
you know,
Yeah.
of security.
Really quickly,
And
so
they
in
did not do
total,
their job.
3/4 of voters said that they think some fraud occurred, right? This poll was conducted shortly after the election, and it's a YouGov.com poll. 3/4 of them. So I'm just saying, and only
3/4 thought that there was some.
soldiers. If they would have taken 500 soldiers, you wouldn't have had the problem. They turned it down. And if you look at the Inspector General report, he says they turned it down. They made a terrible mistake.
Well, Chris Miller was your acting defense secretary. He says you never gave that order. But back to what happened on that day. You said you
This is conducting an unbiased town hall.
Right.
She's literally refuting him, and by the way, wrongly. She's refuting what is a matter of record with hearsay. Well, he said this. You want to bring up bitch Cassidy? What was her name?
I remember that lady.
Cassidy Hutchinson?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He said, hey, he jerked the wheel. I said, really? Were you there? Well, I wasn't in the car. Well, I wasn't in the next zip code, but
Look, he's reaching in his pocket.
All right, he has a list of things he said.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, look, Weasley.
My pocket.
He's got props.
So if
What's he
you look
doing here?
at on January 5th, the day before, I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay peaceful. This was the day before, and this was in the form of Twitter. Now I use Truth Social. I think it's far superior. Okay? I hope everybody's on Truth. If you look January 6th,
Right now, Tucker just went, shit!
2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on Truth, and I'm staying on Truth. Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful.
He's so
I think that's what he's saying. All right, everybody, drink. Although
I'm
going to slow with the refill tonight. What is that, 8 minutes?
All right, bring it in, guys. We need some wine, and we need a beer for Steve.
I guess no one's paying attention.
Let's go.
I'd like my wine, please.
I'm good.
That was very early.
Mr. President, I looked at the same timeline that you did.
No,
Once
no,
it was
but you
clear,
didn't report that.
I
You know
can't
why?
read.
Because it was
we did
taken
report it.
down.
I was reporting that
taken
day.
It was taken
wasn't
down.
But when it was clear to you that they were not being peaceful, you saw them rushing the Capitol, breaking windows. They were hitting officers with flagpoles, tasing them, beating them up. When it was clear they weren't being peaceful, why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol?
He
They
already
listened
told them to be
you
peaceful
like
before
no one
that.
else. You know
That's
that.
why.
They do. I agree with that. But
So why didn't
Nancy
you tell them to go home
Pelosi,
sooner?
Nancy Pelosi, and the mayor are in charge. I assume
Yep,
they were
they
able
are.
to do their job. They
Think
weren't.
of the standard. He preemptively said be peaceful. Then he's out there giving it. He asked for them to increase the Capitol Police.
Yep.
Right. He made the request. Then he's out there and they're saying, why didn't you do it right then? We didn't know what was going on the ground. By the way, we didn't know that feds were going to show up and raid their own Capitol.
Why didn't you go down there in person? You know.
Yeah.
Oh, what was a big clap? Let me see what he said. I'm sorry.
It was a beautiful video, and it said, I mean, I don't want to read it all, but you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people of law and order. We love the people of law and order. We can't play into the hands of these other people. We have to have peace. Please go home. I said that.
Referring
You know
to
what
the
they
law
did?
and order there,
They took
Mr.
that
President.
down, and you know, to this day, it hasn't been put up. And the reason is it's so good and so conclusive that all of this nonsense and all of the tens of millions of dollars that have been spent are just wiped away with
So
this
fact
one.
check for her. So
And
D.C. Mayor Muriel, Bowser or something like Bowser requested unarmed guardsmen and said they should not help with the protests. And evidence does point to Nancy Pelosi denying those requests.
Of course.
From Donald Trump saying, hey, would you like guardsmen? Nope. Why would you do that unless you were ready for something to go off?
She's on record as saying no.
Yeah. Fact check. Also, there were many feds there, so you know.
Yeah, you know that.
You can call it a conspiracy. By the way, all references are available at loudwithcrowder.com. We have tons today of prep that I don't know if we'll necessarily get to because this is just a fun house as it is. The promo code is Crowder Town Hall, loudwithcrowder.com/MugClub. You get $10 off, or you get 3 months free if you've subscribed anywhere else to any other streaming service. Let's continue watching this man
Shoot her.
spank her.
At blank
Like an athletic
range,
Santa
cold
Claus.
blank range, they shot her.
You just give.
And she was a good person.
Talking
She
about
was a
Ashley Babbitt
patriot.
now.
One
There was
person
no
was
reason.
there.
There was no
Good
reason.
for him.
And he went on television to brag about.
She's stumbling. She doesn't know where to go with this.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he
Oh,
killed
he
her.
was
But one
bragging.
person who was at the
He was
Capitol
bragging.
that day, as you know, was your vice president, Mike Pence, who says that you.
The push?
The vice president does not have the authority to reject
Are you
those,
ready? Let's
those
have this
election
one out
results.
just now because it's interesting. Let's keep it interesting, right? I like Mike Pence very
Insult.
much. He's a very
Ding.
fine man. He's a very nice man. He made a mistake. His lawyer said, you cannot move. I called him the human conveyor belt. I said, even if the votes, I talked to his lawyer, even if the votes are absolutely fraudulent, he can't say, yes, sir, he can't send back. And the Democrats played it and the rhinos played it. And then the election was over. They told him he couldn't do it. And Mike said to me, I can't do it. The lawyers told me I can't do it. They can't do it. But the lawyers were wrong because right after the election, they all met, the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure that future vice presidents don't do what I said you could do.
That's not what happened. You're referring to the Electoral Count Act. I've read that. There is no authority.
No,
Legal
excuse
experts,
me.
including Republican
excuse me.
experts, say that he does not have that
Drink.
authority, Mr. President. But I want
Why
to move
did they
on.
change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about
Oh, they
presidents
strengthened it,
exploiting.
meaning you could do it.
That's not what it means.
Oh, fuck
They strengthened
come
the law
on.
because they were
the right to do it.
I've missed this.
I think Caitlin thought that this was going to be her coming out party, and instead she's getting run over by a tank.
Yeah.
It's back to Georgia, Pennsylvania, and other states, Wisconsin. Which
Gerald, your prediction would have been right if she wasn't so caustic.
That's true. She does come across as unlikable right now.
Yes.
Just in general.
not come back in the affirmative.
And she owns no upper lip.
Well,
you just said it pretty much. You admitted what I said was
there's
right.
a purity to her outfit.
Yes, that's true.
The right to do it.
It's called a lie.
And
it's
he
as
did
white
have
as
the
the
right
driven
to do it,
snow,
and that's why
Stephen.
they changed the law, taking that right away.
But a black heart.
I should note that your campaign paid for
Her
a
soul.
recount that happened in Wisconsin. It actually had more votes for President Biden by the end of it.
Wasn't
but I wanna
about
move on to
recounting. That wasn't the problem. He had fake votes.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There.
Here's a
Oh,
question.
geez.
The dead boss from Scrooge. You're next.
That's exactly what I was trying to think of.
Go easy on the Bacardi, he always says. There's a golf ball at his head. He's great. I love him.
Wisconsin. I do want to get to the audience, though. We have questions for you from the audience.
gosh.
Wayne
He
Byer
is so
is a
relaxed.
retired
Trump
attorney
is so
from North
relaxed.
Conway.
Can I get
He has
some
previously
ibuprofen, please? I'm laughing too much.
volunteered for the Republican Party in the 2022 midterms.
I bet you'd be like,
He voted for
I
you
have
in
a
2020.
question.
What's your question for the president, Wayne?
Thank you for coming, Mr. President.
Thank you, Wayne.
My question to you is, will you pardon the January 6th
Yeah.
Important
rioters
question. You
who
should
were
have done that.
convicted of federal offenses?
Drink.
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can say for every single one, because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But you know, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did.
He's
to
doing really
Seattle.
well tonight. He
And
answered the question, by the way. He answered the question clearly. He said for a lot of them, maybe not all of them, and then took the fight to where he's strongest. That's the equivalent to a takedown. He's like, you know what? I don't want to just stick on my feet here because they're going to try and do the stand back and stand by with the Proud Boys. So I'm going to answer it clearly and then move on to something that I know will resonate. This is a look. You guys comment. Send me your comments. Crowder Town Hall. I think he's doing a really, really good job.
My answer is I am most likely, if I get in, I will most likely, I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they did a very, and it'll be very early on. And they're living in hell right now.
So when it comes
they're
to
living in
pardons-
hell. And they're policemen, and they're firemen, and they're soldiers, and they're carpenters and electricians.
She might as well
and
not
they're
even be
great
there.
People.
Yeah.
Many of them are just great people.
Mr. President, one of the people who was convicted was a former policeman, but he was convicted of attacking a police officer, I should note. But when you said you are considering pardoning a large portion of those charged with crimes on January 6th, does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial. You
That's
cannot.
100%
Just like
true.
in New York City, you can't get a fair trial either.
Hey, he took it there before she even brought it up.
Oh! She's like,
That's a power move.
Yeah,
That's
that's
he
awesome.
just slapped his wiener on the table, said, "Take a look."
Massive.
You sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this, but what do you say to voters
By
who
the
say
way,
disqualified?
so did the court.
Yeah.
Because my poll numbers just came out, they went up.
That's so
You
funny.
have a horn if you're doing thug life.
I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John
By the
Johnson.
way, she was funded by a Democrat mega donor, just to be clear.
Reid Hoffman.
The co-founder, LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman.
Anti-Trumper.
Huge backer of Hillary Clinton, just to be clear. And by the way, there was a deposition where she said that no one was actually paying her legal fees. So that's a lie. That's perjury. That would be important, you would think. And there was a bunch of foul play there. I think the most important of which is the fact that they changed the statute of limitations and he committed no sexual assault. It's battery, which means any kind of touching that's unwanted. Let's hear Caitlin Collins try and bullshit away.
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And
this is what she said.
Had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, I know you're recounting what she said, but Mr. President...
He's got to be careful. He's got to be careful here.
Yeah.
No. Just so you understand, if I was walking in at the park, because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it, I'm not going into a dressing room of a crowded department store. Then I say, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped, okay? That was her charge. She wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
What? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her. And I didn't do anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President, can I ask you, given your recounting your version?
I don't know who, and I tell you this.
But Mr. President,
are you ready?
can I
swear on my children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing
Judge Kaplan
in.
was appointed by Clinton in 1994.
Yes, exactly. 94, Judge Kaplan.
Right now, to the audience, you referenced the trial. You did not go to the trial and actually testify. Do you wish that you had testified?
No, it wouldn't have made a difference. This was a rigged deal. This was my lawyer said...
Did you see the deposition? I killed it.
And by the way, I know, here's what the media wants you to believe. Oh, rigged trial. Oh, I guess everyone's rigging it against you. Maybe you're the problem. By the way, this has happened across the board with people they don't like. They did the same thing to George W. Bush.
No one can defend themselves.
I've lived it. What happens is they pile on and they try and make it seem as though everyone can't be wrong, but it's all coming from the same place.
Exactly.
That's what's going on right here, and that's why he's not apologizing. Good
no one can defend themselves against this kind of thing.
No.
If someone gets a story and you get nothing, and somebody says after 23 years or whatever it is, there's nothing you can do.
Right. No.
Fix is in, man. The fix is in.
By the way, really quickly, another fact check. All right. The Electoral Count Act of 2022 changed the Electoral Count Act of 1887. It was kind of time to brush that one up. Makes it harder for Congress to challenge the state slate of electors, and the VP role now is purely ceremonial. So yes, it's a new thing.
It's a new thing. It wasn't purely ceremonial before.
Nope.
Now there's
some power.
To be fair, there was some argument about it.
Yes.
But there was argument about it enough that they said, we need to make sure there's no leeway here.
Right.
So you can't say that he was factually incorrect when what he said was factually correct. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. There certainly is a gray area, but they eliminated the gray area because they knew it. Let's go back.
million years, approximately a million years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
So you stand by those comments?
I don't want to lie.
His million-year comment
President,
from the deposition.
Paleontologists would disagree.
Let's
a
get to
rich
the
and
audience
famous
questions
person
tonight.
has no advantage over anyone else. Well, you do have an advantage, and I say unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
You said fortunately or unfortunately,
Well,
but Mr.
fortunately
President,
or
we have a lot of
unfortunately for
audience
her.
questions to get to tonight. I want to go back to the audience.
So get to them.
So let's just recap this. Oh, hold on a second. Let's go.
Assistant. She's a Republican activist from Derry. She was a New Hampshire delegate for you in
Love
2020.
milk.
What's your question?
Big fan.
Hi, thank you so much for coming to New Hampshire to answer our questions. My question is regarding the economy. Over the past 2 years, we have seen the prices for everything skyrocket. From food to gas to utilities and insurance costs, many people's bills are up several $100s a month, including mine. If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill.
Goody.
Consummate politician.
Clear answer.
Wow.
No, I would say that's not a political answer. They advise
practical.
They
That's a
advise
practical.
you to not say those things.
Right,
They
that's
go,
a practical
Just answer with a non-answer.
That's a truthful, practical answer.
Well, down to $1.87. Actually, it fell lower than that in some cases.
So he's going to talk about gas prices. So really quickly, guys, we spent a lot of money, spared no expense. So really quickly, let's check in with our very first Biden cam and see what former Vice President Joe Biden is up to, because you know this answer.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
All right, and we're back. I don't know why we spent that much money. Could have predicted how it goes. Let's see what Donald Trump is. He still talking about oil?
I got you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan cuts, bigger than any.
By the way, if you're watching right now on wherever you are, hit the Rumble button. You can hit share. You can hit like, whatever it is, wherever you are right now. Hit that. You're good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And China paid a big price. And let me tell you something. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes from China. But prior to COVID coming in, and then I rebuilt the economy again, a second time. But we had, prior to COVID coming in as from China, from Wuhan, which I said it came from Wuhan. Everybody said, oh, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. It came from Wuhan. I said it right from day one. So wrong. We had the greatest economy in the world. Here's the story. They made energy so high, and energy is all invasive. It is massive as an industry and as a cost. It lifted everything. If
Mr.
you made,
President,
if you made donuts, if you made, no matter what you did.
She might as well not be there.
We had inflation, the likes of which I guess
you know who this pisses off? AOC. We actually have a quote from her tweet. CNN should be ashamed of themselves. They have lost total control of this town hall to be again manipulated into platforming election disinformation, defenses of January 6th, and a public attack on a sexual abuse victim. This audience is cheering him on and laughing at the host.
Oh, yeah, but when she tries to tweet, she sees two screens.
Well, that's fair.
Weeks away from defaulting on its debt. That could mean millions of jobs lost, people not getting their Social Security payments. People believe it would put
This
the
is
US
why Trump will win. There could be millions of jobs lost. People right now are struggling.
Yeah.
Correct.
Collins, people right now, they are so disconnected from reality. People right now can't afford eggs. They can't afford beef. People right now, they have their jobs available, but they're shitty jobs because half of the economy, you don't need to fact check that, it's not actually half, but the point is the economy, as we knew it, was fundamentally changed. Restaurants, entertainment venues. These people have lived it, and CNN, this is why you just hit an all-time month low in the single 100,000 range. I think it was 132,000 was your peak primetime viewership last month because you don't acknowledge what people are living.
Because they don't know what people are living.
Yeah.
No, I think some of them don't. I think some of them know, and they're trying to re-engineer it anyway. They're trying to lie anyway. I think some of them are right. Maybe Harry Forearm Girl because she's not dyed in the wool, but she's just giving marching orders. Come on. She's a patsy in a white pantsuit for the higher-ups.
Yep.
Yeah.
They came in, Schumer
Good
came in
pantsuit,
with
though.
Nancy
not
Pelosi,
bad.
and they were using, we'll violate it, we'll do whatever. They
Doesn't
talked a
pill.
whole lot different than they do right now. I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators,
Sweater shaver.
if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default. And
Yeah.
I don't believe they're going to do a default because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave.
Yep.
Because you don't want to have that happen. But it's better than what we're doing right now.
His hair's
because we're
holding
spending
up.
money like drunken sailors.
So
You know
just
the
to be clear,
expression?
Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans
Well,
are
you might
demanding?
as well do it now because you'll do it later.
He's
because
right.
we have to save
He's absolutely
this
right.
Eventually,
country.
you have to make the cut.
By the way, just to be clear, this is something that CNN was having. They were hosting this today with Biden. He just went out and lied. Biden just, I believe, yesterday, and then they kept running it today on a loop. He said that he's cut the deficit by $1.7 trillion. And what he tried to do is he tried to parlay that into the debt. Look, the debt is the cumulative, which is over $30 trillion right now. The deficit means your profits and losses, basically, on an annual basis, right? So it's the year, the spending differential. $3 trillion the national debt has increased since Biden took office, just to be clear.
30 trillion.
Comparing his 2022 deficit to Donald Trump's 2020 deficit, it was $1.3 trillion for Biden. Donald Trump was $3.3 trillion. Both presidents, by the way, spent more than they brought in. That's a problem that he should address. But again, a big part of it was $900 billion was a COVID bill when Donald Trump. They're always going to try and point to his last year, right, to his last portion of his presidency, because that was something that they could engineer under the basis of a pandemic. Joe Biden is spending more money, just to be clear. Joe Biden's plan increases spending, will increase the debt. They don't want to address that, so they say, oh, Joe Biden hasn't answered on cuts. He answers to increase taxes. Watch him answer the question.
Always.
He never actually answers as to what he would cut. We don't have a tax problem. You can say, even if you think we do, we certainly have a spending problem.
Right.
And if I win,
$1 trillion is 1,000 billion.
Yeah, and if you add the reparations they want in California, it would be $430-something trillion.
Just for California.
Just for California. They'd be paid for by blacks from Uganda.
Racism is expensive.
Hey, it's Alex Keaton Lookalike Foundation.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Good.
This is a bit of a pivot, but with gun violence and mass shootings in the news cycle recently, I'm worried that state governments and the federal government are going to act to repress gun rights. Under your administration, you instructed the Department of Justice and the ATF to ban bump stocks. If elected president again, how would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights?
That's a good question, and a question that a lot of Second Amendment activists would want to ask Donald Trump. He screwed up on that one. Let's see his answer.
Stabilizing braces.
Yeah, as you know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing. And NRA, I went with them, and they said it doesn't mean anything. They're actually, all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately. So we did that.
That's what I
There's
say.
been nobody
It's not a
that's
good answer,
protected.
though.
No bump stocks in my
Second
team.
Amendment. It's not a good answer, though, Donald Trump. He needs a better answer on that.
Not easy to do. But we have a very big mental health problem in this country.
Okay.
And again,
The broad in the
it's not
pantsuit knows. Zoloft, or is it Paxil?
And we have to protect our Second Amendment. We have to protect it.
The elite is
You
mushrooms.
dealt with a lot of mass shootings when you were in office. This year, there have already been more than 200 mass shootings in 2023. If you are reelected, are there any new gun restrictions that you would sign into law?
Zero.
I would do numerous things. For instance, schools, we would harden, very much harden. And I'm a very believer. I believe in teachers. I love teachers. I think they're incredible. And they love the children, not quite like the parents, but they love the children in many cases almost as much. Many of these teachers are soldiers, ex-soldiers, ex-policemen. They're people that really understand weapons. And you don't need 5% of the teachers would be more than you could ever have if you're going to hire security guards. But in addition to that, have security guards. You have to harden your entrances. You have to make schools safe. And you can make other places safe. But it is a big mental health problem in this country more than anything else. And remember, we have 700 million guns. 700
By the way,
million.
this is kind of remedial for you. I think we're breaking. We have some new, a new Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yeah. Those did
bombshell.
come in.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Let me see here. What is do we know what the Tucker? Do you have it, Hootie? The latest Tucker bombshell.
I do.
This is breaking. This is breaking right now on Twitter.
Subject: Tucker Carlson's disregard for workplace sanitization. A janitor said Mr. Tucker was tossing a ball of paper into the trash and he missed, and I could tell that he didn't intend to pick it up.
Okay, but
yeah,
that's what's on Twitter right now. It's the bomb. Is there anything else? Do we have? Is there anything else that we have on the? All right, well, more on that. Hashtag Crider Town Hall, $10 off on Mug Club. Let's go back to Donald Trump.
Use your wrist when you throw.
Places also. All of those places are the worst and most dangerous places. So that's not the answer.
No new restrictions that you would sign if reelected, Mr. President. I want you to meet Julie Miles, a registered nurse from Merrimack. She's a Republican who
Notice
voted
that
for
she
you
tries
in
to go.
2020.
Let me try and rebut you before I go to the question from the person who
Appreciate you
matters.
answering this question this evening. How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
It's such a great question, and it was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made, and look, everybody that was president wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50
Republicans?
years. Republicans. For 50 years. This has been going on. Actually, a couple of Democrats, too. But for 50 years.
Also, by the way, Caitlin, it doesn't affect you if you're not a whore. If you're not a whore, this doesn't concern you. You're concerned. She's going to look at her face.
Very
She's concerned. A whore, filthy whore. All right.
I believe in the exceptions. The life of the mother, raped, incest. Like Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions. But I happen to believe that. I think it's frankly important to do that. But a lot of people are against that, a relatively small number. But the way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? They said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute the baby.
But, Mr. President, can we talk about what you would do?
I gotta get away from this. Oh, my gosh.
The pro-life people that are out.
But if you are reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
Oh, maybe.
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that I was able, I'm so proud of it. We put 3 great justices on the Supreme Court. We have almost 300 federal judges on the Supreme Court.
So just to be clear,
here's the lesson to anyone else who's going to throw their hat in the ring. Caitlin Collins doesn't matter. You're not talking to her. I've said this many times with change. We've done Change My Minds. We've done countless Change My Minds, billions of plays. And then we've also done debates on the show. It becomes harder and harder to do as people don't necessarily want to have these conversations across the aisle, unless, of course, you're talking about every single Twitter egg. But here's the thing. You need to recognize the difference between minds you can change and people who they're so bought into the lie, they have to propagate it. That's CNN. That's Caitlin Collins. And Donald Trump, for the first time at least in recent memory, he's identifying the difference. He's identifying maybe people who have questions that aren't coming straight from the right in the town hall. He's identifying, okay, this is someone who maybe is open to what I have to say. This is someone who has ears to hear. She doesn't matter. Don't cater to the media, bypass them. You don't have to cater to them anymore. Right. This is a masterclass in bypassing gatekeepers.
To piggyback on that, would you say he's the first candidate in the history of this country that will actually benefit from how unfairly he's treated by the media?
Yeah.
The harder they go, the more his ratings will jump because Americans, no matter where they are, like fair play.
Yes.
And when they see a violation of fair play, they kind of instinct.
And you know what they really hate? They really hate being fooled. And I think with Donald Trump, they realize, you know what? We were fooled with a lot of this.
Propaganda.
And I think that's a good point. I think he has a valuable tool at his disposal.
This is great for the country and what's fair for the country. But the fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We are in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk about radicalism. People that will kill a baby in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the pro-life.
I just want to give you...
Did the same thing with Antifa, did the same thing with abortion. Brilliant. Let me hear what she has to say.
You did not answer whether or not you'd sign a federal abortion ban or how many weeks into pregnancy you believe abortion should be banned. Can you answer either of those tonight?
I've given you the answer probably 4
by the way,
times already.
They've never forced a Democrat to answer for when there is a limit to terminating pregnancy. Because just to be clear, while we're talking about one thing that Donald Trump missed, while we're talking about the radicals, people say, oh, the extreme left, the extreme right. Right? This is my left, your right. I have to do the stage terms. Here's the thing. Every single person who has run for the Democratic nomination in the last 2 elections has supported abortion up until and including birth as a matter of policy, period. No exceptions, perhaps Tulsi Gabbard.
And other Republican presidents, and others, by the way, they wanted to get it out. They also wanted to bring it back to the states. But bringing it back to the states is a less important issue than the issue that we just talked about.
That's what Frank Stallone said. Take it back to the states. Take it back. By the trash can, he said.
Is that what he was singing about?
That's what he was singing about.
I didn't know that.
If that bell rings and I'm still standing, I always say.
So prophetic. I always say have the baby anyway.
In just a moment.
All right, really quickly, as they're about to go to a commercial break, we spared no expense, and I believe that we sent somewhere here, I want to make sure that I have this right, that he's set up and he's ready to go. Thomas Finnegan is actually, we have Thomas Finnegan. We sent him down to the town hall on the ground for the commercial break. Let's go to him. All right, at the town hall, Mr. Finnegan, what do you got for us, sir?
Hi, Stephen. It doesn't look like things have kicked off yet, but I'm glad to be here early to catch all of the action as it unfolds.
Where are you?
I'm at the town hall, of course.
Yeah, but where are you?
I'm at the town hall in the Hamptons.
No, for the love of God, Thomas, you're supposed to be at the town hall in New Hampshire. It's politics. We're doing politics. Donald Trump, presidential town hall in New Hampshire. Go there now. Go there. Go. quickly, we're going to go to, hold on a second, you have a fact check, I guess, but really quick, hold on, let me just say, Brian Callen will be in New Brunswick, New Jersey, May 11th through the 13th.
Boom.
If you are on Rumble right now, this is what keeps us going. Notice there aren't 20, 30, 40 live reads. If you're on Rumble, click that button right down there. We're going to continue doing a Mug Club exclusive, by the way, show after this show on CNN. It's $89 if you enter in Crider Town Hall. Or go ahead.
I have $10 off on the discount code just for tonight.
Oh, sorry, that's right. $10 off, so $79.
$79. That doesn't
Just for
say that on
tonight,
my
so make
fake.
sure you do it
Wonderful
today.
hand-etched
All
mug.
right, we've got. Can we get the an epic fact check? We got a couple here, so something that's a little bit more
Live fact check for the Crowder Town
Give it to
Hall.
me. Now. There you go. Give it to me. Yeah.
Tweet check. Fact Trump. Trump fact check. Tweet fact check. News.
There we go. All right. So, Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. The U.S. national debt will balloon by nearly $20 trillion over the next decade under the spending outlined by President Biden in his $6.9 trillion budget.
That's a lot of nuts.
But it's somebody else's money.
Yeah, well, no. If you put it over 10 years, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
Also, mass shootings were lower under Donald Trump by almost half. I don't know why she was asking him questions about Biden's policies that have led to more mass shootings, because his mass shooting numbers were far lower. And also,
I can answer that because, excuse me, she's a lying whore. If I had to answer, I would never say that, by the way. I think she's very nice, but that's what people tell me.
You don't know my body count.
She lies and she's a whore.
Liar, whore, and you know it.
That's true.
Thank you. It's buying time. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I think that summarizes some of the fact checks that we're working on right now. And by the way, I just want to add an answer to the abortion question. So my policy on abortion is no. Would you sign a federal? No, I don't want to sign a federal ban. I want that to be a state power issue, right? I want that to be in the state's hands, and I want the state's hand to be moved by the people to do the right thing.
Right.
That's what I want. I don't want federal overreach in stuff like this, even when I think it's something that benefits me.
Yep.
I want it to be in the hands of the state. I think Donald Trump should say that. He didn't. He said that was a less important issue. I disagree with that. I think states having the ability to decide this stuff is very important, because that's exactly what the Supreme Court struck down.
That's also what a republic is, right? That is what this country.
I have to go use the little boys' room. So let's
Let's
check in really quickly, and then I'll be back. You guys can, and then you can go after me. Chicken, we spared no expense. For the second time, do we have the cameras live at the Biden, former Vice President Biden,
Yes, sir, we got it.
White
Okay,
House?
yeah.
Okay, check in.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
My butt needs wiped, man. Don't put it on backwards this time.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
All right, bringing him back. By the way, Kate, you can't see it, but she's taken a lot of body blows here. This has been a little bit rough for Caitlin Collins. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's see what the questions
2020. Jennifer, what's your question tonight?
Good evening, Mr. President. Title 42 is expected to expire tomorrow.
Yep.
Our southern border and now our northern border are experiencing record migration.
I wonder why.
We learned on May 2nd that the Biden administration plans on deploying 1,500 troops to the southern border. Do you agree with deploying troops to the border, and how will a Trump administration slow down the rate of migrants coming across all our borders?
There's a lot of BS.
The troops.
A very fair question, especially since tomorrow
they're
is
behind
gonna
the
be a
scenes.
day
They're not
of
on the border.
infamy. You're going to have tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. Even the judge, the judge overruled them when they wanted to terminate it early. And he said, that you better extend this thing. The judge in Texas said, I hope you're going to extend this. But this is my policy that they're letting terminate because they lost in court. They wanted to go earlier. You're going to have millions of people pouring into our country right now at a level that nobody's ever seen before. These people are sick. Anybody that wants this to happen to our country, they're destroying our country.
All right, we know his answer here. This is bad, right? So Biden already, just to give you some facts, Biden already has 2 times as many border encounters as Trump did during his entire time in office.
We should ask him to take the front door off his house.
We should absolutely do that, right? So currently over 5 million encounters. Trump's grand total for border encounters was 2.4 million. Also, Greg Abbott, let's bring up this tweet from him. I saw this earlier today, so great work, team. Pulling it. I had no idea. He was in a wheelchair. I just thought he was really short.
Damn tree.
So Greg Abbott says, great work by Texas National Guard and Texas DPS. Biden sent 1,500 troops to the border to do paperwork. Texas deployed trained soldiers and troopers to take real action and respond to this crisis. So don't be fooled by 1,500 people going to the border to do paperwork behind the scenes.
They're
like
doing
you said.
administrative.
But let's hear. I do want to hear him a little bit because this is a strong issue for Donald Trump.
We have to build some more because there are areas like water going through a dam. There are some areas where a lot of people are coming. You close up one and they come into another. And we started another 100 miles of wall. In fact, I said to my people, if we start this and don't finish it, and then we had a rigged election, I'm sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged,
okay,
Mr. President.
Greg, you got the horn there, Yakuza, or no? We got a horn?
Yeah, right here.
Drink your whole drink. We got to get a refill.
You got it.
Make mine Yingling, because I can't handle these Belgians.
People flow into
They're
our
high
country.
alcohol.
Look, a country has to have borders.
True.
There's never been anything like is happening to our country right now.
You built about 52 miles of new wall when you were in office, Mr.
Would've built
President.
more.
It wasn't the complete wall. One other thing that with
No, but I have to
immigration,
respond to that.
with your immigration,
Do it.
it was
Respond.
only about 52
can I
miles
respond?
of new wall.
This is what she does.
Yeah.
I built hundreds of
passive
walls. Some of the wall was up there, and it would be laying on the ground, rusted, rotten steel, rusted, rotten wood, a little. And what the radical left, crazy Democrats did, if there's a piece of wood laying down,
That's
they
a
consider
wall.
that a wall. I built 30-foot walls that go down 7 feet into the ground. If there was a little piece of wood sitting in the ground, they said, oh, he's not building a wall. We already had a wall. Because this is the game. They're a party of disinformation.
It's not a game, Mr. President. It's about 52 miles of new wall. One other immigration policy you had when you were in office.
I built new wall.
52 miles
for
according
hundreds
to
of miles.
CBP, Mr.
What I did is I
President.
replaced other wall that was laying down, that was up and rotting in the ground for 30 years. Some of it was steel that you couldn't even
Mr. President,
see.
it was only about 52 miles of new wall, but moving on, another immigration policy you had was the zero
Sorry, I love
tolerance
it.
immigration policy that seperated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out?
Oh, that is insane.
When you have that
clear, and I don't. Thank you very much. And by the way, please send in your love for the team that's helped put this on here tonight. No, that's the Flores consent policy from 1997, which, by the way, said that you could not detain children for more than 20 days. Okay, this is why Barack Obama actually ended up starting to separate children with their parents because he saw keeping children as a deterrent from people coming in over the border. The Flores consent policy, 1997, signed under Bill Clinton, was about children being detained at the border. Just to be clear. And by the way, this is one thing that was a huge point of contention during the debate was the who built the cages, Joe. Let's see what he has to say. She's full of crap.
City. The city is being swamped. Los Angeles is
Going
being
by rote,
swamped.
I'm pretty sure I'm right about 99% of it.
The whole country is being destroyed. Millions of people are coming into our country. And you know what the number is going to be, in my opinion, by the end of the year? Not the 4 million that you hear and the 3 million and 2. I think it's going to be 15 million people. And in these people, they have no idea where they come from. They come from 129 different countries so far. 120,
Mr.
not just the
President,
4 that we talked
Just to put a button on that, it sounds like what you're saying is that you're not ruling out re-implementing that immigration policy. I want to get to another voter. Caitlin Boissonneau is a
She
student
never
here.
just she always has to get the last word in.
For sure. She's like,
nothing
yes.
like perpetuating a negative stereotype, white lady.
Hello, President Trump.
White
Thank you
pantsuit,
so much
white
for
lady.
coming.
Thank you.
The current administration has made it clear
she
that
has
we
a
should
crush on him.
continue to provide military equipment to Ukraine so that they can defend themselves. Do you support this decision, and how would you deal with the increasing threat posed by Vladimir Putin?
First of all, thank you very much. It's really nice.
I would have never let it happen.
It's an important question, so important, because we're giving away so much equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We
Take
don't
it
have
from
ammunition
Afghanistan.
for ourselves. We're giving away so much. But here's the
Right.
thing.
Biden
I have
left
to
enough
say
of
it
it.
to start
No.
off. No longer matters. If I were president, this would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew it would have never happened. And his pipeline would have never happened. A lot of things would have never happened. But this
Which
would never have
Democrats say
happened.
that,
And all
Mr.
those
President?
dead people, both
even
Russian
address it.
and Ukrainian, they wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities that are blown up and disintegrated right to the ground, that wouldn't have happened. Okay.
You know
Now,
what I love that
here's
Donald Trump does? What he does, because everyone knows here about everyone knows the Ukraine answer. So we have a little bit of a lull. I love that Donald Trump will answer with specificity tonight. Here's what he'll do. He'll answer with specificity. He'll disabuse people of a certain notion that the moderator or the conductor, whatever you want to call her, tries to instill in the audience. And then he drives it home with something unrelated, but also leaves a mark like, there was tons of dead wood and everywhere. This is what happened. I replaced it. They say 52. This is the game that they play. They didn't want to fund it. He'll go through it and then be like, termites! And then go back. And then people remember that.
That's right.
And he's very, very good at it.
It's called anchoring.
Yes, exactly. Use technical terminology.
I don't know any Democrats who have said
May
they don't
11th through
believe Putin would
13th,
invade
New Brunswick,
Ukraine.
New Jersey.
But her question is, would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because, as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment hoax number one.
The perfect call.
He said the president didn't do anything wrong. So
That was
I
when
happened
you
to
asked him
like.
for an
So I
investigation in
happened to like.
exchange
Yeah,
for
that's right.
weapons.
And I was totally exonerated, by the way. Just a waste of time.
It would be great if when they cut to that shot, he goes, "Don't side profile her. That's cruel. I'm helping you. It's not fair to her. Don't go to side profile, folks. That's mean."
But the question here is,
Missed a
would
drink
you
on the
give
impeachment
Ukraine
comment.
weapons and funding if you were
I would
elected?
sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm
that's
president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
You hear what you just said?
Wow.
If I'm president, I'll have that war settled in one day. That's the answer.
Boom.
That's the answer. I'll solve the problem.
I've talked about this. Ukraine is a perfect example. He had 8 years of Obama, then he had 3 years of Donald Trump. One last year was engineered, of course. That's the number they try to point to as far as what they try to point to as his failure for presidency is the engineered pandemic of COVID. And then you have another, after this, you'll have 4 years of Biden. There's a very stark contrast. Let's talk about international policy, because the idea is this guy is just such a loose cannon that we're less safe. Hey, what happened under Barack Obama? Something Crimea?
Oh, yeah, that's
something.
Kick this
Was
off.
Crimea? Is it pronounced Crimea?
Crimea? Something Georgia?
Crimea.
Right? And then what happened under Donald? Oh, nothing. And then we had Ukraine afterwards. Because anyone who's been in a schoolyard knows that crazy beats big every time. You just have to be a little bit crazy.
That's right.
There's value in that.
Yeah.
Even Kim Jong was going like, I don't know this guy. I don't know what he's gonna.
You forgot Syria. Underneath
That's right.
Obama. Remember the
Syria.
red line. This is the red line, and then they do it, and they're like, "Well, I mean the red."
And
line.
it's just like they can't.
It was in sand.
They can't stop.
Move it.
They can't stop getting it wrong. The things they try to attack him on, people like him, and then what they try and use as this sort of failsafe, like, yeah, but international policy, you need someone with an even temperament. He's proven them wrong through 3 years, and another 4.
The way they describe the world is not what we see in our everyday life.
Right.
It just doesn't. We're just like, what are they talking about?
They think that most Americans are going, come on, you better say yes, you're going to give money to Ukraine.
Yeah.
I just sound like Jim Brewer for some reason. Like, you better say yes, it's going to give money to Ukraine. I don't know.
Ukraine. It's good.
Do you still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He was a smart guy. You know? I remember I said he was smart, she was smart. They
What
said
was his
he
mistake?
said President Xi of China, right, is smart. Okay, 1.5 billion people. He's the ruler of 1.5 billion people. I said, yeah, he's a smart guy. How dare he say he's smart? Of course he's smart. They want you to say he's a stupid person. Okay, he's not a stupid person. He's very smart. He's very cunning. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his mistake?
Let me ask you something really quickly, okay? And I'd like to see, maybe we can put, I guess we can't put this to a poll, but you can tweet me and you can use the hashtag #CreditorTownHall. Would you rather a world where Donald Trump starts with the presupposition that Putin and Xi Jinping are smart, or would you rather a world where former Vice President Joe Biden assumes they're dumb? In which world are you safer?
Good question.
Stop. Because if he's going to be a war criminal where people are going to go and grab him and execute him.
You know who was smart?
He's going to fight
Hitler.
Correct.
Doesn't mean I like him.
Right.
I think Einstein was an asshole. Doesn't mean he's dumb.
War settled. And I'm not talking about the money either. I'm talking about all the lives that are being, the number of people being killed in that war is far greater than you're hearing. When they blow up a city and those buildings come pouring down and then they say 2 people were injured, no. Hundreds and thousands of people are being killed, and we have to get that war settled.
We have more with former President Trump. Right after this, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with questions from voters.
We do that, and we have occasionally we have commercial breaks.
We have a commercial break if you want to go.
No,
to.
but didn't we?
We have that. We got a new.
We got a new intern, right? With Title 42.
Yeah.
Ending, and I think we were a little preemptive. What you did, Gerald, as CEO, he's the new CEO.
Well,
might have been. It might have been illegal.
It was
is my point.
heart.
But we did want to. We have the new intern here. Yes.
Sí, ¿cómo estás?
And we just wanted to, sometimes we like to profile people, tell them your story. So did you came through, was it the golden ticket sweepstakes?
Yeah, was that it?
Pues sí, I get vaccination.
Yeah, we don't
know.
Yo tengo the vaccine.
Yeah, we don't care about the vaccine. I don't think anyone here is vaccinated. That's not a prerequisite.
Nope.
But
is that your resume that you sent? That's not a resume. That's a vaccination card.
Sí, it's right.
Vaccination card.
Oh, Lord.
No, but what is your experience? How did you get the internship? Right? People want to know.
Yeah.
I crossed the border and they say okay.
Yeah, that's not. That's not
how it works. I'm sorry. I may have made a mistake.
Yeah. Is this? We don't care about COVID. Can you do research? Can you do overlays?
Mow lawn? See?
Yeah, okay. Let's bring him back in. Let's bring him back in.
You know what?
Later.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Golden ticket sweepstakes, really.
Seems like a nice guy.
That's not my finest moment.
No, Gerald.
I'll do better.
You're a horrible CEO.
Well, most of the time. Guys, I'm gay.
All right. I think we do have
we do have a commercial break.
We have a brief commercial break, and we will be back after that. These gentlemen have to go to the bathroom.
I do.
And again, you can use the promo code Crider Town Hall at louderwithcrider.com/MugClub, or you can send your email of proof of any right-wing streaming subscription in the last year. You can send that email to freemugclub at louderwithcrider.com, and we'll give you 3 months free. If you don't like it, you can bounce. Try it. We think you'll buy it. We don't know. Let's go. I think we have a sponsor and a quick commercial break.
Hoodie, what are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm trying the new pudding from My Patriot Supply. I gotta admit, it's okay. It's not great.
Dude, you're not supposed to do it like that. You gotta put water in it, man. How much have you eaten?
All of them?
Oh my gosh, here, try that. That's better. Come on, it's instructions.
Oh, that's much better.
Of course it's much better, man. You know you're gonna have to buy some to replace that, right?
Right, I'll just go to prepwithcrowder.com and get a 3-month supply.
Perfect. You're probably gonna have to do that twice. Yakuza, what in the world are you doing down here? Are you serious?
Want some pancakes?
No, I'm fine, thank you. Where's a gag reflex when you need it?
Get ready for Now That's What I Call Trump. In this compilation, your favorite president makes these hits his own.
Don't go chasing GDP. The median income is a better metric.
And who can forget the Pete Buttigieg song?
Splish splash, they were taking a bath, and it was a couple of eggs.
Voted on by the attendees at the weekly White House talent show, this collection is sure to make you want to get up and dance.
Nikki, don't lose my number. Might replace Pence with someone else. I might. I haven't decided. Support the police, because they work really, really hard. News. It's all fake news. B-I-G-C. That's how you spell Hillary. B-I-G-C. Synonym for Hillary. Welcome to the hole called California. There's a homeless face. Poop all over the place. Lots of poop.
Now that's what I call Trump.
Now That's What I Call Trump is available in CD and cassette. Call 1-800-MAGA-2020 for details.
So, how can I help you?
Doctor, my husband and I have tried everything to try and get pregnant. Do you have any suggestions?
I do have something that's worked in the past.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I think I feel something. Wow. Thank you, doctor.
You're very welcome. Every time.
Paid for by the greatest president in the history of the world. Side effects, frankly, may include being fantastic.
All right, let's quickly go to CNN. I think they're both standing up now, I think. So let's see what
I'm
they're
going to stop
saying.
you right there, though, because the Presidential Records Act, which is not well known to a lot of people,
They are
I've read
standing
it.
up.
It does not say that you can
Let's
take
change
documents with you. It
positions.
says actually that they are the property
It
of the
says you
federal
talk,
government.
you
when
negotiate, you make a deal. It's not criminal, by the
It
way.
does not- it does
The
not say you
Presidential
can
Records Act is
negotiate.
not criminal. And just
It
so
does
you
not
know,
say you can negotiate to
just
take
so
the
you-
documents.
Shut
Can I
up.
tell you? Just so you understand, the Presidential Records Act is not criminal. I took the documents.
Did
I'm
he say,
allowed to.
excuse me?
You know who else took them? Obama took them.
Biden.
Nixon took them.
Obama did
Reagan
not take
took them.
documents.
Oh, he didn't.
The difference here that I'd like to
He's standing.
Take a
Reagan
look.
National
took
Archive
them.
says that President Obama
Even
did
Jimmy
not
Carter,
take
even Mike
documents.
Pence had some documents, and he's a
You
very
referenced
honorable
Pence,
guy.
you referenced
But you know who
Biden.
took them more than anybody is Joe Biden. He has 1,800 boxes, and nobody even knows where they are.
That's a thug life moment.
Look at
her face. Look at her face. Oh my gosh.
Guy on us, and they, in the
I think it's
meantime, they have
important, Mr.
nobody.
President, to actually set the record straight here.
Oh, you do?
They took documents, including President or Vice President Pence. When they realized they had documents, they turned them back over. The difference is that you waited to turn yours over, and it was a year and a half effort that included a subpoena with those documents. One question about what happened when you had those documents.
It included a raid on my house. That's what it included.
Yeah.
They didn't raid.
You'd gotten a subpoena, and they had not been turned over yet.
They didn't raid Biden's house. You know what happened? They put him in the house. That's the one with the Corvette, where the documents were laying all over the floor.
By the way, fact check this. Donald Trump had them locked up in boxes labeled classified.
Yeah.
Joe Biden had them next to his midlife crisis.
The other thing, the vice president cannot declassify. He
is
doesn't
a
have the right
crazy
to
double
declassify.
standard.
He has
It is
documents from
crazy.
when he was a senator. And even Democrat senators say, I can't believe it. No, I went by the Presidential Records Act,
That's not
and
what
we
the
were
Presidential
negotiating
Records Act
with
says.
NARA.
That's not what it says,
And
Mr.
NARA has
President.
red flagged a thing
Here's what
called
he
the
should do once, though, Donald Trump. He should say, tell me what it says. Go ahead. Take your time. Do that. You do that, it'll end her career.
Yep.
Is a special counsel investigating your document situation, also President Biden's document situation. When it comes to your documents, did you ever show those classified documents to anyone?
Not really. I would have the right to. By the way, they were
What do you mean, not
declassified
really?
after. Not that I can think of. Let me just tell you, I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I have the right. I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely
negotiate
left group
with
of
them.
people. Extremely left. And I was
look at that.
negotiating
Look at that RBF.
raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like
Joe
you
Biden
did. And so
took
that's the question.
1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents
By the
when
way,
you
live
knew
fact check.
the
Look at
federal
that.
government was
That's where
seeking them
Biden
and then
kept
they
my
giving you a
God.
subpoena to return
Are you
them.
ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
You
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
Watch
I
this.
would like for you to answer.
Insult
the
to
question.
host
It's very simple to
That's
answer.
why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person. I'll tell you.
Drink again. Oh, my God. You're not following the rules. Sorry.
Answer why you,
Sir,
why you
finish
held
it.
on to the documents.
I was negotiating, and we were talking to NARA, that's Washington, to bring whatever they want. They can have whatever they want. When we left Washington, we had the boxes lined up on the sidewalk outside for everybody. People are
He
taking
loves to
pictures
fight.
of them.
He
Everybody
loves
knew we
this.
were taking those boxes. And the GSA, the government service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raid our house. When Biden had his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes. And you're going to find some real gems in there.
It was
So
Biden
you
who
can't have
alerted
all
them that
these
he had
different
the
sets of-
documents.
all
The
these
National
different
Archives
sets
reached
of-
out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena
Because we were
asking for you to turn
negotiating
them
with
over?
them.
You were
We
negotiating, fine.
with them. As
She's hanging
per-
in there. She's
That's the
tough.
fourth time.
She's
the
hanging in there.
Presidential Records Act.
No.
We were negotiating with NARA.
That's
I mean,
not
it's a
what
tough
the
job.
Presidential Records Act says. I've
But they
seen
got to
it.
love our Constitution a little bit more, and they shouldn't red flag it, by the way. Very nice people. We were negotiating with NARA, and that's what the Presidential Records Act
Jimmy
says,
left, very
because
nice people.
Richard Nixon, surprisingly, had problems, and he had a lot of problems dealing with NARA, and they ended up
Trump the
passing
historian,
legislation,
it's a historical
the
moment.
Presidential Records Act, just for this kind of a thing. We were
My
dealing
last
with them.
question
We were
on this
talking.
sub- on
Excuse me.
this
Wait a minute.
subject,
Drink.
Mr.
Excuse
President.
me.
We were talking to
Excuse
them.
me.
We would have done it, but all of a sudden they raided the house. Now, why hasn't the FBI raided Biden?
But I just explained to
Why
you why.
now?
It's because they alerted the
1,850
government that they
okay.
had those documents and had them come and get the documents
Why
from
did
his
Biden-
house.
no, he
So the
didn't
question
take-
for you, though, when it comes to documents, do you still have any classified documents in your possession?
He's so mad.
Are you ready?
Do you?
You ready?
No, I don't have anything. I have no classified documents. And by the way, they become automatically declassified when I took them.
Yep.
But
No, you have
why?
to declassify
Let me
them.
ask you a question. Why
Who
is
gets
it
to do that?
Biden
Who gets to do
had
that?
9
The
boxes
president.
in Chinatown?
They're declassified if he chooses to say, hey, take a look at this.
Yep.
Why aren't people,
Mr. President? No, you cannot
why
say
aren't
that. There
people
is no
bringing that
evidence
up?
of that, Mr.
And why don't they
President.
put this
What
guy
you're
Jack
referring
Smith
to
and his
is an
group
office
of
that he
of
had.
thugs?
Mr.
Why
President,
don't they put him in charge of that?
I need to stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said there. What you're referring to there is an office that he had after leaving
That's at the University
vice
of Pennsylvania.
presidency.
Wrong.
He had a temporary office. But I want to ask you about another investigation
You're so
that you're
wrong.
facing.
You don't know the subject.
I do know the
He had one at the University of Pennsylvania.
Investigation that you're facing, which is the one that's happening in Georgia, where they are investigating there your efforts to overturn the election results in the state of Georgia.
I did nothing
At the
wrong.
center
It was a
of
perfect
that,
phone call.
This is a great country because this is
at
what
the center of that
this
is
dissent,
that call
this
that you had with the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger.
Yeah, sure.
Given the fact that there are indictments expected to come in that case this summer, is that a call you would make again today?
Indictment, drink.
Yeah, I called questioning the election. I thought it was a rigged election. I thought it had a lot of problems. I had I guess he's Secretary of State. I called. Listen to this. There are like 7 lawyers on the call, many of them from there. We're having a call. We're having a normal call. Nobody said, oh, gee, he shouldn't have said that. Why? If this call was bad, I questioned the election.
You
if
asked
this
him to
call
find
was
you
bad,
votes.
No, that's not what he said.
We've heard the audio
if
tape.
this
Yes, and
call
it's not what he
was
said.
The
bad,
audio of you asking him to
I
find you
said,
11,000
you owe
something
me
votes.
votes because the election was rigged.
Exactly.
That election was
Context.
rigged. And if this call was bad, why didn't
You're
him
talking about
and his
Georgia,
lawyers
right?
hang up?
The place
How
where the
dare-
pipe burst and they took out these, sorry, not suitcases because we'll be fact checked. The cases that look remarkably like carry-on suitcases with ballots.
Yes.
During the period of time where they said a pipe burst and there was no one in the building.
Allegedly.
We have.
They did. They did. Just in the middle of the night.
He said, "Come on, you know there was fraud."
Yes.
That's the context.
I was
You were
questioning
asking
the
him to
election.
find you votes, and I should note that there is no evidence
They're
of
like,
fraud.
"Cut the
There
feed,
is no
cut
rigged
the
election in the state of Georgia. I want to get back to the audience, though, Mr. President, because those are false claims you're making about what happened in
here's
Georgia.
her last word,
Jordan Sullenberger
audience.
is here. He's
Yep.
an undeclared voter from Hollis. He voted for you in 2020. Jordan, what is your question for President Trump tonight?
Voted
Thank
twice.
you, Mr. Trump.
Thank you very much.
The bully from every
26,
80s movie.
I help manage a private aviation company.
We
You want a
crashed.
job?
I'd love one. Yeah.
I'm looking for somebody very good.
No offense, but it sounds like government interference in private business. But I've
Right.
seen Republicans going after us like DeSantis after Disney.
Oh,
Right.
this is
What would you do as
planted.
president to protect us from government interference?
Well,
To
I'm the
protect
one that
Disney?
really wants to protect you. All of these fake investigations of me are about election interference.
Good job.
They think because I'm leading Biden by 11 points, 7 points, 9 points, I'm leading DeSanctimonious by a lot. By 40 points or
That's not gonna
45
stick.
points. I
Not
think you ought to
gonna
just
stick.
relax and take it easy and think about the future because right now his future is not looking so good. I will tell you this. We
He's
are really
relentless.
putting it to Biden. But he's putting it to himself.
I'm glad he
because
focused
the
back on
economy
Biden.
Yes.
stinks,
He
inflation
is the definition of
horrible.
a pressure fighter, though.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
And
he
by
is.
the way, the way he got out of Afghanistan was the single most embarrassing moment in the history
That is
of our
correct.
country.
That is correct.
President, I have
And the
one more
media
question
never
for
talks
you
about it.
tonight, and
Oh,
I
let's see.
think
Does she defend this?
While we're in front of the voters here in New Hampshire, this is a fundamental question for you.
She's
You are
ignoring.
running in the 2024 race. If you are the Republican nominee and you are in that 2024 race, will you commit tonight to accepting the results of the 2024 election?
Yeah, if I think it's an honest election, absolutely I would.
Will you commit to accepting
guys
the
don't
results
screw
of the
with it.
He
election
won't give you an
regardless of the
inch.
outcome?
You want me to answer it again? If I think it's an honest
Hey, did you ask Hillary
election,
Clinton
I would
that?
be
Did you ask
honored
Biden
to.
that? Or did you
And
start a
right
committee
now we
along
are
with
so
Elizabeth
far-
Warren on election interference and election fraud? But back then you said it was Russia. Remember that? Every single Democrat refused to accept the results of the 2016 election. They didn't ask those questions.
Accepting the results
Including Mr.
regardless
Kemp
of
in
the
Georgia?
outcome.
If it's an honest election, correct, I will.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the 2024
Yeah,
election
politics.
results or acknowledging what happened
come
in
on.
2020. President Trump, I want to thank you for coming here tonight.
Thug
This is an
life.
important conversation with voters to hear and to have. Thank you to our audience and to our host.
I feel like we're bias watchers.
Of course we're bias watchers, but I want to see what CNN's commentary is on after this because they're going to have to run interference
That
for
was a
her.
bloodbath.
Yeah.
It was a bloodbath. she had no handle on it.
Oh, there you go. At least they
Yeah, look, he even pursed his lips. He's like, "Yeah, thank you."
Yeah,
It was like Bill Burr mocking someone. Did I do good? Yeah, you did great. Yeah, you only just ruined your career, right? Dude,
You'll be back.
you think you're gonna be saved by your white pantsuit, God?
He looks so tired, and yet he's just as combative as ever.
Yeah.
Like not an inch does he give. And Anderson
Anderson
looks
Cooper's
cross-eyed
got
right
something
now.
to say.
Oh, God.
First of the 2024 presidential campaign is now in the books.
He's going to be a dentist.
From Washington, it was an interesting night. Mr. Trump's first lie was told just seconds into the night with his false claim that the 2020 election was, quote, a rigged election.
And by the way, it's only a lie
coming
because CNN says so.
Right.
The threat to Vice President Pence, about Pence's ability to overturn the election, about COVID, about the economy, and more. He called a black law enforcement officer a thug. He said people here in Washington, D.C. at Chinatown.
You try and make it a racial thing?
It's unbelievable.
He was the only person who killed someone on January 6th.
Other than the 5 people that you guys said.
Wow, he had to throw in that.
He called a black man a thug who shot someone from how many yards away was it? Was it 30?
It's
Was it 30 yards away?
It's unbelievable.
The black person? No.
The black officer.
5 feet.
But I mean, that's so unnecessary. That's exactly why CNN loses ratings.
I'm sorry. Ashley Babbitt is crawling through a window. He could have gone, boop.
That's right. I was going by what their initial claim was.
Yes,
that's right. It
down
turns
the
out it was
hall. He was
just
right
a few,
next to her.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right.
come on.
That's right.
Jake referenced Manhattan federal jury found him liable of sexually abusing
You also
and
called that
defaming.
man
Fuck you!
Carroll.
Fuck you! No one found him guilty of sexually abusing anyone. That right there, just so I don't know, this right there is a lie. That's a lie.
He wasn't
He
found.
just said he was just found guilty of sexually abusing a woman. That's a lie. He didn't sexually abuse anyone. The jury didn't say he sexually abused
It was
anyone.
sexual battery.
Okay, just to be clear, it wasn't a Donald Trump quote. It was a Stalin quote initially. Anderson Cooper, this press is the enemy of the people. They flat out lie in order to try and re-engineer society. When Anderson Cooper, sorry, pardon my language, if you have kids watching, they shouldn't be up this late anyway. Fuck that guy. He was found guilty of sexually abusing. Nope, that is a lie. And you either have to believe that Anderson Cooper is so dumb he doesn't know that it's a lie, or he is deliberately trying to run interference because his little friend, who he probably has cocktail hour with or wine down Wednesday parties with, just got her hat handed to her. That is a lie. It's not even close to the truth. It's not even close to the truth.
So sexual abuse is not the same as sexual battery then?
It's just battery and defamation.
Right.
Yes. I thought it was more the defamation thing. But really quickly, we did run the commercial for Prep with Crowder. I just wanted to make sure that we got that part.
Can you grab that for me, Brian?
What's that? What do you need?
Grab that big case right there.
Big case.
Really
over there.
quickly.
Bring the big thing over to him. There's a great deal.
If you go to Prep with Crowder, we have a different discount code going on right now.
Yeah.
PrepWithCrowder.com, you get $200 of free emergency food kit.
It feels nutritious.
It's survival gear.
Yes, free survival gear with a 3-month.
Can I open it?
Supply. Of
No,
food.
don't.
Oh.
We got, I think, 4 of those.
That's a placeholder.
How long will this last me?
That's where our
3 months,
intern stores his tobacco pouches.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that has fermented for months.
Oh,
That's a
God.
dangerous place for that thing to
But
be
it
on.
is Prep.
Nicotine.
PrepWithCrowder.com. Get $200 free of survival gear. They have the balls to sponsor the show. It's the only sponsor that we've run on this show, I think, for weeks, by the way, right now. So you can go and buy these things like at Costco, but the truth is you get a better product, better price. Their stuff works, and you don't need to worry about some zombie apocalypse. I lived through the ice storm in Montreal. I remember it was in the dozens, if not hundreds, eventually people died. You have the earthquakes that happen in California. Any natural disaster, you should have enough water for a couple of weeks. You should have some way to heat some food and have a couple months or 3 months of emergency food. Everyone should have it. You don't have to be some kind of a prepper. Let's see what...
3 months in this
3 months, right
3
there.
months and $200 worth of survival gear.
Wow. Feels nutritious.
A person who, from the time he
I'll
was
take
in the
some more
presidency,
Sauvignon Blanc.
Can I take this off my...
You can take it off now.
is
Yes, I
deeply
apologize, Brent.
confused
I mean,
about
unless
the
you need it there.
It's good on my lap.
intentionally to his supporters and plans to do that. And I don't really see anything that's changed about Trump, frankly. I mean, between when he left the White House and today. So his aides can say what they want, but Trump is Trump.
Some things did change. The economy tanked, and Americans know it. So your guy, and yes, I mean your guy, is losing. Your guy is losing. You just said, think about that for a sec. You know, George St. Pierre used to do this where people would give him crap, where every opponent he would face, he was a fighter, and some people would talk trash, right? And George St. Pierre came at it with the idea of, if I just say my opponent sucks, then that means I suck. So no matter who he would say, he's my most dangerous opponent, he's the best guy I fight, he's dangerous, and I have to plan for him. Mm-hmm. What they're saying right now is, Donald Trump is so... how bad must your guy suck if he's losing to him?
That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying that this guy is a liar. He's going to spew all this kind of hateful
Trump is
rhetoric.
the only guy who gets Biden elected. if that happens. Right?
No.
He's beating him by
Donald
7
Trump is
right
beating
now.
him by bigger numbers than DeSantis.
You think he beats him if there's an election today?
I do.
Yes.
100%.
I mean, assuming that it's a fair and honest election, which, is anyone's
Which is
guess.
what Donald Trump said, basically saying, like, you're telling me.
By the way, they're going to January 6th.
Go ahead,
By the way,
go back to them real
I
quick.
told you they would say this. Many of them are great people. I said that they would say it was a beautiful day. Watch them bring that up. Drink.
And it's really what voters who are not in that room think about it.
Look, he is who he is, and he is who he was.
They would vote for him.
Hold on, let me say this. Let me repeat. He is who he is. Better than you.
Yeah. 41-48. If held today, they would vote for him.
Stunning things to see, though, in the sad laughter when he was mocking E. Jean Carroll. Really just in the audience is the hold
Really
he has
just
on the Republican
offensive.
Party. And so welcome to the Trump paradox. CNN reached out to Republican undeclared voters in New Hampshire. That is a honest reflection of Republican beliefs in New Hampshire.
Which is how out of touch you are with America.
What did I tell you? Remember what I told you at the beginning of the show? Maybe we can bring it back up for MugClub. I said they are going to fundamentally start with the presupposition, which is a lie. They are not going to acknowledge that all of the recent polls have not only Trump beating Biden, but beating him by a greater margin than Ron DeSantis. Wherever you line up, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
And they right now are calling it the Trump paradox. This is what they want. They want you to try and have a civil war within the Republican Party where you go, oh, maybe I want Trump, but DeSantis is more electable. Here's the beauty right now. You can vote for, and I don't care who it is, vote in the primary for who you want to be president. Because right now, either one wins Donald Trump by a slightly wider margin than Ron DeSantis. I told you they wouldn't acknowledge it because they want to try and act. Why? Like the MAGA Republicans. They want to try and paint the Donald Trump voters as so extreme that they should be separated off, right? Sort of pulling like a Patriot with Mel Gibson. Pick off the commanders first.
Yep.
Pick off this very strong faction. The faction, by the way, that would vote for him over DeSantis by double digits. They want to paint them as MAGA extremists. So it's the Trump paradox. The Trump paradox is he's beating your guy, period, full stop, and by a little bit more than DeSantis. There's no paradox. No.
But their idea is to get Republicans who are moderate to say, you know what, maybe it's not worth more of this. This is so fatiguing that we should just vote for Biden so we don't have to deal with this crazy. And that is to say that people aren't going to be outraged and angry at how unfairly he's treated and how much they're being lied.
So think about it this way. They already had their chance to go, I don't really want to vote for Donald Trump. Let's vote for Biden. He's the safe alternative. Look at the wreckage that is following his presidency. Yeah. More mass.
So you believe in borders?
More economic turmoil. More strife and war in the country. Around in the country.
Where's Code Pink?
All of these things, right? All of these things are happening, so you no longer have that. And I think I was wrong when I said that earlier on, where I said, not tonight, but earlier on in this, I was like, I don't know if Trump has a
jury found him liable for sexual abuse. And
and they're replaying. I wouldn't replay most of that CNN.
Yeah.
I think they might have found him liable for that. I think that might be true.
They found him liable for battery and defamation.
Which is also sexual
There
abuse.
doesn't necessarily... Well, no, battery doesn't have to be. Battery does... It's civilly, by the way, and battery doesn't have to be.
You've already battered me. I can
This is the problem, is they just say sexual abuse as a general term. Look, battery, there's also a difference between battery... How did I lose my... Are you shitting me? It's like between the car seat.
Your phone? Yeah, it's gone?
My research document fell between the seats.
Don't lose your...
There's a huge difference between sexual abuse, and this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make you go rape, sexual abuse, and not actually look at the case. Battery.
I have the definition here.
This is battery.
Feels so good. I mean, so bad.
By the way, it's hashtag Crowder Town Hall. You get $10 off if you join tonight. Let's see what they're replaying. I'm curious to see what CNN thinks is a win for them tonight.
To put everything in, he allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr.
This is a
President, you're
fake
recounting your version of
story.
events here right now to the audience.
Truth.
You referenced the trial. You did not go to the trial and actually
That's right.
testify. Do you wish that you had
No,
testified?
it wouldn't have made a difference. This was a rigged
That's
deal.
very true.
This was my lawyer said, sir, you don't have to do it. I actually said, I think I should. It would be respectful. They said, sir, don't do it. This is a fake story, and you don't want to give it credibility. That's why I didn't go.
One thing you did do in this.
And I swear, and I've never done that. And I swear
Okay,
to,
we're going to bring up that clip again for those who missed it. Carroll, I keep getting the E. Jean Carroll, just to be clear. E. Jean Carroll, the jury said, did not prove rape. As a matter of fact, she didn't really prove anything other than sort of defamation, just to be clear. And they were pretty liberal with the term battery. Again, they changed the statute of limitations. But, oh, no, hold on, we have a little one. Tool man, We need
We're
you to
talking
stay out.
politics.
We need you to stay out. We don't want anyone to be watching you on camera, little guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to cut to it. So.
No, he's horrible. I just don't, he's young. You don't want people seeing
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Toolman's son is about as cute as they get. He just wanted to come in and see Daddy. I know we're going long.
Sorry, Joe.
Sorry.
Looks a lot like me, which is weird. But anyway, keep going.
So the jury said.
It's fine. It's fine. Keep going. I'm sorry.
The jury said, well, you do moonlight as a milkman.
I do know moonlight as a milkman.
That don't exist anymore.
Organic milk.
Yes.
I milk it myself.
It's a milk share.
Grass
It's a milk share. It's a way to skirt the laws.
That's why my hands are so rough and big.
The jury said she couldn't prove rape. She didn't prove rape. And again, we're going to roll the clip sexy.
Yes.
She's a lunatic. They won't show you this.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
I'm sorry, what?
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
So's your hair.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
I like that part.
Wow.
She looks like she's been sleeping on that side and she just woke up.
So she looks like Bridget Nielsen on a meth bender. Yes, go ahead, John.
All right, so they found him. So sexual, let's see what it is right here. So yes, Mr. Trump sexually abused Miss Carroll. Let me read for you what that could be. Here's a quick quote from the judge. Anything from a gentle but unwanted peck on the cheek to stabbing somebody with a knife could be battery for purposes of a civil case like this one.
Unbelievable.
So in other words, it could be me greeting my aunt at Thanksgiving, kissing her on the cheek, or the guy in Warriors saying, maybe we should run a train on you.
That's
They're
incredible.
both the same. That's the point, right? That's a very broad term. And by the way, it's not the same term state to state.
They're the same if you...
The damages, what they try to do is damages are for defamation, which, by the way, is what happened with what's the name of the professional slut? Stormy Daniels.
Yes.
That's what happened. They tried to say that he defamed her, but he couldn't have defamed her. That's why she owed his attorney's fees, because she said it never happened. So for him to call her a liar can't be defamation because she admitted to lying.
Yeah. A peck on the cheek is sexual battery if you wear your genitals on your cheek.
That is true.
Right?
Yes.
So that's
old genital cheek Larry.
That's right. Or you have herpes on your cheek. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it's something like
maybe
that.
just demonstrate an unwanted. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You really must be sick.
He already touched me with his big fingers.
Yes.
I can still feel them on my shoulder.
So he's.
Let's go to librarian stand-in, whoever that is on CNN.
The rule of law, the justice system.
Another
You called
hairpiece.
the Capitol Hill police officer a thug. We've already talked about.
He was. He killed somebody who wasn't a threat. What do you call that?
I expect that bitch's stockings to roll up under a house.
My phone blew up over it. People were outraged by it, and I would end with this:
you were.
Who thinks they could be
You
a
were
Republican
Wicked Witch of the
running
Green Room?
against him? You just saw tonight what you're up against on a debate.
Can I just add one thing on
The
that?
best.
Chris Christie just
No,
sent
Dana,
a
because you
tweet
had
out.
nothing.
He's seriously considering running. We haven't talked
please.
about what
Chris
the former
Christie.
president said about Ukraine and Russia in detail. And what Christie said was Donald
Way
Trump
to make it
says
uninteresting,
he would
Dana.
end the
Your
war
floor.
in Ukraine in 24 hours. He said, despite how ridiculous this is, I suspect he would do it by turning over Ukraine to Putin and Russia, Putin's puppet.
So let's go to Anderson in New York. Anderson?
Jane, you
with me.
ignorant slut.
Commentators and senior political commentators from across the partisan spectrum: Van Jones, Kristen Soltis Anderson, David Axelrod, Alyssa Farah Griffin, David Urban. Also joining us is Florida Republican Congressman.
Also, this man from The Shield.
Everybody's trying to look super smart.
Look, I mean, in one way, my thoughts were summarized by the previous panel. But I will say, anyone
that,
who
David.
has been paying attention and expected Donald Trump to be anything other than what he was tonight really has misread the situation. That is who he is. And
awesome.
You know,
is
that
who
is
he
the
is.
core of his appeal to his
This
base.
is childish and ad hominem, but it looks like his spread collar is rejecting his neck.
That's fair. Holding on for dear life, that button.
Show up and say, you know, I've thought this
I
through.
really
and
don't
I
like
really,
Axelrod.
You know,
No,
I
you
should have done
shouldn't.
a few things differently. That might have been good political
It's like,
advice.
no!
He's got a weak chin. I'll give him that. He's got a weak chin. I'll give you that.
And that's sort of
Which
that
chin?
authentically is who Donald Trump is. But it does underscore one thing, and I don't use
At least
this
he's
term
letting his-
lightly.
Bring up
At least
the
he's
side by
he's-
side of the guy from The Shield and that guy.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
He is letting his Michael
get
Chiklis.
punished
Yes,
for
that's it. Michael
That's it.
Chiklis.
He's letting his brows grow out, and I appreciate
in
it.
many settings. But if you're a politician and you're just willing to blow through facts and blow
Anderson
through
Cooper said, "Did
challenges,
someone say blow?"
your version of the truth, you know, there's some advantage to that, and he's proved it.
Kristen?
This is
the Donald Trump that we have always known. He
And
is
loved.
who he is. And if you are a voter who is
Great. Repeat
looking
what
at
the
next
last
November
guy said.
and thinking you're dreading.
She's the
this
Republican strategist and pollster, right? She is the balance to this panel.
Yeah.
Right before we go to socialist Van Jones. And then I want to go to our panel here for some thoughts. And by the way, I know that we are biased. The difference is we let you know, and we make all references publicly available at louderwithcrowder.com. Every single thing we've told you tonight is accurate.
Specifically around
and
January.
I encourage you to fact check us.
That he wants to make the case, look, you think I'm the chaos guy, but actually under Biden, that's chaos, right? He talks about the border,
Right.
crime, gas prices.
Economy.
And then he undercuts his own message that he's actually not the chaos guy by saying he would pardon the folks on January 6th. You can see what message he's trying to drive.
He said
can't help
some people. He said, I don't know about all of them because some of them got out of hand. And then he talked about Antifa, who you, by the way, you won't utter their name. It's like Voldemort. You won't say you won't talk about Black Lives Matter anymore. You won't talk about Antifa.
Unimproved, rerun.
Fake glasses. He doesn't need them. Keep going.
And if you're watching this,
Donald Trump is unfit, unwell, unimproved, and still good enough to mess you up in a general, according to every single recent poll, you dumb, bald-headed prick. What does that say about you? Unimproved. He still beat your guy by 7 points.
You're being racist.
Pardon people who've been convicted in U.S. courts of seditious conspiracy, a criminal thug group called the Proud Boys. That's an easy no. I'm not going to pardon traitors. He wouldn't even give you
But not
that.
every single one of them was found guilty, dummy. Just like I wouldn't say that every single member of Antifa is a basement-dwelling prick. It's mostly accurate, but it would be a lie for me to say that that's all of them. I'm sure you showed up to a couple of meetings.
I honestly found it jarring to watch, and just kind of a quick
Jarring.
I'm a woman.
I love jarring.
I'm a strong woman, but I get jarred by
Jarring's a
interviews.
great word.
to Ukraine. He basically alluded to restarting the inhumane family separation policy at the
And
southern
Obama.
border.
By the way, her
He once
qualification was being on MTV's Teen Moms.
again- and then he made light of sexual assault, and even more horrifyingly, some of the audience members laughed.
Stupid.
This is a man who was so
He didn't make
wholly
light of sexual
unfit to be
assault.
president.
He made light of fake news lying about sexual assault.
Important policy issues did come up.
Hey, she's
But
jarred.
what I would
She's
encourage folks, any Republican running for office or considering running for president wants to secure the border. They want to bring down inflation. They want to deal with the economy. They want strong American leadership abroad. They will do that without the chaos, the insanity, and throwing our allies under the bus the way Donald Trump will.
So I'm down here at the lone end of the table.
Come on, bring up the side-by-side of him and...
Oh, there you go.
What
Chiklis.
explains
Look at
the
that.
fact to America, maybe Jamie Gangelso.
Do we have a picture of Michael
was
Chiklis?
blown up
We do have a
with
picture of
Francino,
Michael
but,
Chiklis.
Coming up right now.
You know, half the United States still likes this guy, right? You heard John King say he may be the next president of the United States, right? He may be the next president of the United States. So I know there's this, you know, he's a terrible human being. He did all
It's
these-
the
said all
same
these
guy.
bad things. But
It's the same guy. Now, when you get to a close-up, look. Okay,
oh,
now,
yeah, that's
once
bad,
we go to
but
a
it's better
close-up,
than the
bring him up
current
again, Michael Chiklis. Tell me this isn't him.
Yeah, that's
I can't
It's
take any
him.
more of
That's
this,
actually him
you know,
playing
it is.
the Trump advisor.
On the border now. They say, well, at least when Trump was in.
What's he doing
it
on
was this.
CNN?
He's it's method acting.
He did
He's
this.
getting
He's
ready
much
for
better
his
He got
president.
killed in the
as
series.
Trump advisor.
He's out.
The movie's called Trump Advisor.
Record rather than.
Next is going to be, what's the name of the guy from NYPD Blue who was also in Sons of Anarchy? He's Hispanic.
Dennis.
Not Dennis
Dennis
Farina. I'm
Franz.
going to stab this
Dennis
pencil in
Franz.
your eye. No, it's the guy, he says like Bobby something. His name is super white, but he's like tall Hispanic, NYPD Blue. Gemma.
Oh,
Hey, Gemma.
yeah. Well, I can't.
Oh man,
the president in West Wing, Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
You nailed it. I stole it.
That's what they're going to bring up next.
On
All right.
the abortion front.
So,
because
There he is. There he is.
Can I just say something really quickly? The jarred lady that was speaking just a moment ago, she said, "Oh, you're going to start that inhumane process of taking kids away from parents." Okay, let me just say two things. One, if you don't want your kids taken from you, do not try to cross the border illegally.
Good point.
Second point is, do you know why they do that? Because a lot of people come across the border with child sex slaves and say they're my children to be able to get special treatment and preferential treatment, and they separate you from the parents to make sure that they're not gang raped and also to make sure that the story checks out. So maybe if you did a little research, you would understand they're actually trying to help sex slave children escape.
Who else in this room is
What are you, a liberal over there?
Who else in this room is officially jarred? I consider myself jarred. Gerald.
I'm Jordan.
That was out of line.
Cheers to that.
Out of line.
That was out of line to a jarring degree.
Correct.
I can't believe that a professional woman on news set up her response on a panel with, "I was very jarred." You shouldn't play with the big boys then, sweetheart.
She said, "I found it jarring."
I found it jarring. I find it disorienting, like she just came back from that time warp in Event Horizon.
Well, why don't you cry?
Can we run the fact check too on the wall? We actually have exclusive video of Donald Trump and some of the work that he actually did on building the wall.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Let's go to it now.
Wait, which one are you going for?
It's the one we showed early on in the show?
The same one?
No.
At least they've got Republicans.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Joe Lewis.
We have
is
a
here.
break-in.
Joe Lewis.
Do we have the?
Hold on.
Clip there, if we don't, that's okay. We got
No,
everyone,
Hey.
by the way, join up at MugClub NOW.
Oh, we don't have it.
$10
Never
off, or
mind.
Joe Lewis will die.
Wait. They can't hear you. They can't hear you.
I'm going to eat him.
Oh,
You-
no.
No.
Please, carnivores are
Never mind. I was wrong. I was
Gerald
wrong. I
was calling for
apologize.
something I don't have.
I thought he had
okay.
it. He doesn't have it. It's one of my favorite things that we've ever done. If we could get that, that would be phenomenal.
It's the dueling of the beard edger.
This is,
a
there's
disaster because initially with Ukraine, Joe Biden wanted to give Vladimir Zelensky.
By the way, of course, I'm not going to eat a dog, just to be clear.
And it wasn't until people in Moscow, in Ukraine, here in the United States said this invasion is wrong that Joe Biden reversed course.
Do you want a victory in Ukraine?
There's a couple things.
Do you want a victory in
I'm
Ukraine?
just trying to respond to everything that's been coming up on the table. Last thing, let me say this. We spent 22, 23 minutes talking about January 6th. We could have been talking about a whole lot of other issues instead of doing that for the first half hour or so. But let me be very clear. What was said in this town hall about National Guard troops that were authorized by Caitlin was wrong. I'm on the Oversight Committee. I was in 2 hearings on January 6th.
Can we give
It was
CNN
testified
props for at least having Republicans down there?
Let's see what he says.
National Guard troops on January 4. He followed up in a call with then acting Secretary of Defense on January 5, trying to see where the deployment was on those troops. That is testimony in the Oversight Committee. Everybody testified in Oversight Committee when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, except one organization, and that was the Capitol Police.
Did you read the
because Nancy
Secretary of
Pelosi
Defense's
would
book?
not allow that. I'm telling you what
Notice
was
he's the only one who
testified to.
brought in actual facts
Correct.
to undergird his
Correct.
argument.
And look what he brought up. Did you read the book? When you can say anything that's not under oath, he's like, I'm telling you what the committee had.
What is?
Yeah, I want to see what Mrs. Jard Big Bird says.
He testified to under oath in the
Congressman-
Oversight Committee.
Congressman, can I just
There
ask?
are the facts. Go ahead.
Do you acknowledge Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, correct?
Again, we're going to continue to talk about 2020.
No, I mean,
Irrelevant.
They're going to try to
Snuffle up against trunk snout that bitch.
Let me tell you why most voters are frankly kind of tired of y'all bringing this up. Inflation, border.
Your opinion about factually what happened in the 2020
You
election?
guys want me to make
What
a
did you
statement?
say that's factual? Anyway, who cares?
Well,
This is the beauty of it. Why get mad? They have 130,000 viewers.
The way you want me to say it.
Total.
We had more than them tonight.
Yes, at any given moment, and the live ticker's broken.
They do.
I understand why
Now,
some people
moving
believe it.
forward
Do
into
you?
2024, a couple of things are very, very clear. The nation is
Clear,
a mess.
just like your skin,
Our border
Anderson.
is overrun. Inflation is crippling every family. Republican, Democrat, Independent. Those are
Do
the
you
facts of the
think-
matter.
Do you notice they're all piling on him?
Watch them. Watch
They're
this
all
stuff.
piling.
But at least CNN has 3 Republicans on the
And I
panel.
understand that you don't
No,
feel
they have
that
one and 2 patsies.
election and questions about the last election and the insurrection should be part of the discussion now. But since the
By
president
the way,
was
also
there,
notice they put up their lower thirds and not his.
Yep.
a rigged election, and he repeated it again tonight, since he was the one who rallied the crowd that stormed the Capitol that he celebrated tonight. I want to ask you this one thing, because I was interested when he was talking about his case that was decided
Get to the
yesterday
point,
by
David.
a jury, and he said, well, that was rigged. It was a
just buying
Clinton-appointed
time.
judge. A lot of
The
Trump
segment's
appointed.
By the way, this is I'll come back to this.
Allegations of election rigging. Should they be trusted because they're Trump-appointed judges, or are they rigged too?
Listen, every candidate that runs for office, everyone, I've run for office, you're allowed to contest
Where's
an
his
election.
lower third?
We all have that ability.
They brought up Axelrod while this guy was still talking. Where's his lower third?
He's had the ability
Where's
to
his
do
lower
it.
third?
Right now,
Where's
he
his
was
lower
making
third? Do we need a
statement
timer?
very
Where's
clear
his fucking lower third?
about the 2020 elections, but he's
Where's his
also
lower
looking
third?
forward prospectively.
Still going.
The
Where's
point
his
I'm
lower
making is
third?
Caitlyn
Another
didn't wanna
headline.
do that.
Where's his
She
lower
wanted to
third?
hang in and
What I
continue
mean
to
by
talk
that,
about
people,
the
is his name and his title. These people have made up titles. They are professional talking heads. This is a man who actually serves as a representative of a voting constituency.
Of the people.
And Van Jones.
Van Jones, lower third.
Let's hear Van Jones.
In real time, in front of millions of people. It is very, very difficult to
They
do
brought
what
it
she
up
did.
twice. They changed it to
Nobody's
give him
gonna
a
do it.
second title.
It is incredibly difficult to talk to somebody who is going to say things. Sometimes they're true, sometimes they're not true. I don't think anybody here thinks that Donald Trump is a paragon of truth-telling. I thought Caitlyn did a masterful job. She's a matador against
While
a bull.
Oh my gosh, she's a hold on, let me do this.
He might as well have answered where the
Matador
white
against
women
a
at.
bull. At least he referred to him as a bull.
Yeah.
Not a
Right,
bad
let me
thing.
do this. Since CNN didn't have the balls to do it, we will. That's U.S. Congressman Byron Donalds, proudly representing the Southwest Florida District 19. You
Good.
guys wouldn't put it up. We will.
Good. And Anderson, he didn't have to blow a guy to get his Chiron.
Sexual abuse. That's the
Homophobe.
best and only person who just once again
I'm
called a
going
woman
to
a
leave the
sexist
indictment
child.
alone for a second.
Oh,
but let's be
shut
clear.
up.
Still no
I'm
time.
jarred. Sexism. Here's the thing. You know what, Gerald? You would have been right if this was 2016. People are tired of this shit.
Oh, they are.
People are tired of women always claiming the moral high ground by simply saying, I'm jarred. I'm jarred. I can't. Sexual abuse because he pecked me on the cheek. You're jarred, and right now it's sexist that he just refuted her with facts. Have you read the book? It doesn't matter. No one cares that you
Right.
feel jarred. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Haven't put his
Charred,
name up, by the way.
They still haven't put his name up.
Yeah, chilling, jarred, unnerving, and disturbing. They all drive me nuts.
I actually would say this is what we wanted.
I swear to God, if they bring up David Axelrod's lower third, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind.
His base, if I was his lawyers, I'd be deeply concerned.
No
about
one
what he
deserves a lower third less
Yeah.
than David Axelrod.
Is there anything that would exclude him, even if he
Don't do it.
is someone who Republican voters want back in office because of the things he did in terms of policy? Like,
Okay.
could he go out and kill somebody? Could he? Is there anything that would be that you would consider beyond the
Wait,
pale?
who's talking?
Or
Wow,
would you
look
just
at this
set
question.
everything aside and say, well, this is what people want, so those picadillos we're going to let alone.
At the end of the day, this is always going to be at the hands of the voters. The voters are going to decide who they want to support. Polling would dictate that they want to support Donald Trump by a wide margin in the Republican Party. I will also say the ABC polling is pretty clear that Americans
Still
writ
won't name
large
him.
want to support him
This is
over
the
Joe
best
Biden.
guy I've ever seen on CNN.
He does
And
a good job.
as far as a
Never be
Republican in
back.
American
Correct.
territory,
This'll be his
he's the
last.
best. They'll never have him back.
Yeah.
Never have him back.
Or if they have him back, they're going to stack the deck like this. Hey, let's have a white. This is what Bill Burr was talking about on SNL. Let's have a white woman tell a black man that he doesn't understand what being what being oppressed is like.
Over the last couple of months. And it will be very interesting to see, do voters who may have forgotten what it felt like for Donald Trump to be in the spotlight, do they
Amazing.
come away from
Was
this
it jarring?
feeling,
Was it jarring? I hope it wasn't jarring, or perhaps rattling. Maybe it was
Rattling.
unsettling. Dear God, I hope it wasn't unsettling. Half the
All
country.
those words are used by people who've never been punched in the face.
Yes.
want this rerun, and that's going to be a
Yeah,
problem.
so that's what I was just going to say. Look, actually, you said if you left tonight, you'd say he did a great job, because he spoke
I
to
didn't
the
say
base.
he'd do a great
No,
job.
but
I
I'm saying
said
he spoke to his
he
base.
did- he spoke to his base, yeah.
I think,
It's the same
in the
guy.
Shield. We're in the
Really
middle
You were
of
great
the
in the
field, right?
Shield.
We're in
He
that
was great in the
20-yard
Shield.
line.
Also, as good as the Thing in the Fantastic Four. Disappointing
Four,
film,
yeah.
but he gave a great performance.
He did all right.
Wants
Lifted it
to
up a
win,
little.
right? He's going to need to speak to those.
So let me just
suburban-
kind of clarify something for you, and then we're going to go to MugClub and take your chats. What they just did, and I've talked about this quite a few times, because I got called in, by the way, to the second floor at Fox News, and second floor is where the executives were. What David Axelrod just did, it's the opposite of stand-up, right? You know the old quote in comedy is, I didn't learn comedy when I learned how to write. I learned comedy when I learned how to edit. Remember, Phyllis Diller said that. I think Jay Leno repeated it. I don't know the original source. But brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes.
In cable news, it's the opposite. What David Axelrod has been doing, what Van Jones has been doing, what Mrs. Tweety Bird, I've been jarred, is doing, is trying to buy up as much time as possible before they ask a question. They're trying to take up as much airtime as possible when they have an opponent who they know overmatches them. I had this when I would appear on Fox News. I had a debate segment for, I want to say, it was a year with Alicia Menendez, Senator Bob Menendez's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And then at a certain point, she worked for a company who said, you probably don't do this anymore. It was every Sunday. Sometimes Tucker would actually host it. He would fill in host for Clayton Morris, I believe was his name. and the other guy was something Riggs. Anyway, I'm trying to give you, and Allison Camerota. So they would do Fox and Friends Sundays. And I got called in one time because what would happen is they would say things like, well, as someone who's been raised in a political family in Washington, D.C., insert 30 seconds on the clock. And then rather than an argument, I remember one time specifically, it was tossed to me. She said something like, and I don't know where Stephen got his college degree in the political sciences. And I responded with,
wow,
never graduated grade school. What's your point? And there was dead air. And I was called into the second floor because I knew that was the most effective course of action, was to say, I see what you're doing. I see you right now. Ronnie James Dio, this shit. I said, I see exactly what you're doing. I'm not even going to address the rest of psychobabble that you just spewed for 30 seconds to buy up time. I'm going to address what you thought was your argument and try and make it look silly so the audience sees this appeal to authority fallacy. I got called into the second floor. I said, you can't do that. I said, what? They said, this has been happening. People have been complaining that you're too quick, you're too short, not quick meaning quick-witted. They said you're too short with your answers. Look, there has to be a give and take. There has to be a back and forth where you have to take some time. They're not used to that. This is how we do things. And sometimes it would even put us in a quadrant view, even though we were in the same room. One time I was with Lanny Davis, or it might have been Doug Schoen, where they wanted us to seem like we were in different cities. And I reached from my quadrant into his and said, high five. I got called into the second floor for that.
Yeah, they probably didn't like that.
No, it is a parlor trick. And they told me, don't try and keep the points brief, which is what resonates with people. This is the difference. Donald Trump resonates with people who will be voting for him. That's why you see the polls widening. That's why those people don't trust the polls. They have a way of doing things. They told me, you need to do things this way. When the American public, and by the way, the average viewer, clearly has told them they don't want it that way. I was told that I was being too short. Imagine that. They're going, but can you take more airtime? I'm going, I don't want it.
But that's because you as a performer, you just know that the minute you start lying, the minute you start thinking that the audience is not as smart as you are in big trouble.
Yes.
And the audience, the biggest mistake you can make as a performer is to think that your jokes or your performance or what you're saying is going to be over their head and you have to dumb it down.
Right.
Huge mistake. And that's what I see with CNN all the time.
Yeah.
They say things that people, including the people that watch CNN, look at and go, it's not jiving with reality, man.
Right.
You're trying to pull a fast one on me. That's what they do, especially when they start talking a lot like Axelrod.
No, I think you're right. That's just an important technique. Just if you see someone saying in 50 words what they can say in 5, that person is likely dishonest.
That's right.
What you should do, if you want to Gerald, you know this, when we do this show, we've our blueprint is watch what they do and let's do the opposite. They don't provide any evidence. We're going to make sure that all of our references are publicly available.
Yep.
Everything is pre-taped and edited. We're going to do it live. Right? Oh, they want to take up as much time to make one point as possible. We're going to give you 2, 3, or 4 and allow you to then deep dive it as much as you want, because they don't serve you. They serve themselves. It's someone who likes to hear themselves talk. That's what you saw tonight. And you saw and by the way, of course, Donald Trump likes to hear himself talk.
Yeah.
But he is talking directly to the American public. He wasn't talking to Caitlin Collins tonight, which I think was a very smart strategy on his part.
Unbelievably good, yeah.
Look,
he didn't look
make
at her
an
once.
example of her so that you convince the people watching. You think you're going to convince that broad with the hairy forearms? There's nothing you can do that can change. I bet you she walked off the stage and said, I'm with her. I was jarred. This was jarring for me. And here's something I wanted to kind of go around, and then we'll take some chats, of course, at loudofcrowder.com/MugClub. Here's the real value, I would say, in CNN versus Fox News. And I used to have to kind of be coy about it. Look, I was there for a few years. Okay. At least with CNN, people see who he's fighting. I think Donald Trump understood that if he would appear on Fox News, he would give them a platform, he would legitimize them, and he would legitimize the underhanded attacks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that when I was at Fox News, it was a Romney-Obama election. It was made known in no uncertain terms that I better get in line for Romney. At that point, it was down to, I believe, Gingrich, Romney, Santorum, and I told you, I wasn't a huge fan of any of them for a political candidate. I think Rick Santorum's a decent guy. I spent time with his family. So I said, well, at this point, I think he would do better with the Rust Belt voters than Mitt Romney. And I was right, by the way. And I was told, nope, Romney's our guy. And if you go and watch the coverage, it was very clear. They have made it clear in no uncertain terms that there is a hit out on Donald Trump to try and kneecap him, to try and take him out, because he is now for the first time. I mean, maybe it's a result of ego. A light has been shined on Fox News right now for what they are. And tonight, at least I was about to say Don Lemon. At least Donald Trump knew who he was fighting. That's important. He knew who he was fighting out there. He wasn't fighting a ghost, and he didn't want to legitimize a fake conservative outlet. And by the way, it's not just Fox News. You've heard us talk about this. I'm not going to go back through it again, but you know where we line up. It's very important. And by the way, there's a huge value in having battle lines drawn, in having, not saying that all Republicans are good and all Democrats are bad. Before you fence sitters try and tell me that, a two-party system, man, go to a parliamentary system, see how that works out,
Exactly.
But there is a value in seeing a delineation in team jerseys and going, okay, you know what? Hold on. At least I know where CNN lines up because I've heard everything that they've said. And Donald Trump is the other guy. You have a whole panel of people, a representative from Florida, and Donald Trump is the other guy. Whereas in Fox News, they would try and say, well, you know, it's like the Anna Navarro thing. I'm a Republican except for every single policy, and I hate Donald Trump, and he's racist, and I can't believe Van Jones, you took a picture with Candace Owens. I'm a Republican, right? There's no, that's so dishonest. This is why you rarely hear us go after MSNBC other than to laugh at Joy Reid's latest Swiffer haircut. I have no problem with someone who says where they line up. I don't. The biggest problem I have is with turncoats, is with betrayers, is with people who claim to be something that they're not. And at least tonight, Donald Trump didn't have to grapple with that. And so I think that's a win for him. Now, I want to see where you guys line up here tonight. I will say this myself. Sorry, I'm leading the witness. Unless DeSantis takes it hard to the media on election integrity, unless DeSantis takes it hard to the media on their bias and on, for example, the double standard of classified documents, all that, but particularly election integrity, I would vote for Donald Trump in the primaries.
If Donald Trump performs like he did tonight, it is over.
I'm not talking about performance. I'm saying that's required for me. That's mandatory for a Republican candidate to say we need to have election integrity in this country.
So when I say performance, I don't mean just the performance. I mean answering the hard questions. I mean having the positions that he holds and also being able to point back and be like, Donald Trump 2019 is what you'll be getting in round 2. You'll be getting the economy that I brought you for 3 years before COVID hit and before the world turned upside down. The most kind of jarring experience this generation, if I can borrow a term, has ever experienced. You'll be getting Donald Trump 2019. And it'll be more fun than ever because the media has been even more exposed and the Biden economy has been more exposed. And by the way, really quickly, Joe Biden actually tweeted out, there were not fine people on both sides of Charlottesville. I don't remember him mentioning Charlottesville, by the way. The January 6th rioters were not good people. End of story.
Now, here's the thing. Let's keep that up. Let's keep that up. When people try to say they're the party of nuance, Donald Trump said, well, I'd pardon some of them, pardon a lot of them. I don't know all of them. Some of them got out of hand, right? That's actually far more couched than saying the January 6th rioters were not good people, but doesn't say there were peaceful people there.
Yeah.
The vast majority of whom, outside of federal agents, did not commit crimes. That's a very broad brush. One is saying, hey, I think a lot of people haven't gotten a fair shake. The other is an incitement to violence. That right there is an incitement to violence. Because if you say that everyone there at January 6th, by the way, was it 250,000 people? It was over 200,000. I know that. Some estimates had it close to 500,000, depending on who you... Let's use the low number, 200,000.
200,000, yeah.
You've now told the American public that it's open season on them. They're bad people.
Yeah.
Let's other them. Let's dehumanize them. Let's treat them subhumanely. Let's do that. That's what that tweet just did. Notice what he didn't say? Be mostly peaceful? Because he can't say that.
No.
Kamala Harris didn't say that. She said they should continue rioting.
They should
Correct.
Yeah, that's the proper response is what Kamala Harris
It's
said.
look, people want to act like Joe Biden is a nice guy who's just no, this is evil shit. That right there is evil shit, and he should know better if he's president of the United States. So let's hear Brian.
Well, first of all, the double standard is jarring, and I never use that word.
I use it all the time.
Okay, fine.
You have to drink.
All right, fine. I'll drink, but it's jarring. But look, listen, I got two things to say.
Toolman, you have to drink. Don't.
It'd be even better if you were drinking from a jar.
I know, but I prefer my Riedel glass, everyone.
You're not a Pinterest wine mom?
No, of course not. I'm not really. This is the way I really talk, actually. I'm from England, yes.
I find that jarring.
I know. Should be.
It's positively unsafe.
I hate to be so unnerving.
Oh.
But if I could be, the one thing about me, I'm full of verve.
Yes.
Oh, right in the genitals.
You are full of
He hit me in my privates.
You are.
Battery hit me in my genitals.
Keep using that voice. See what else flies your way.
I know an English accent.
I do believe that was a come on.
Yes, of course, I know.
That makes him gay.
My English accent makes him very horny.
Makes him gay.
Well, it makes him break rules.
You're doing a gay voice,
I
and
am.
then he says he's going to have a go at you.
I know.
That means he likes to have sex with men.
It's not gay if I'm speaking this way.
It's gay of him, not you, but him.
No, this is more recreation. It's just college
You're
stuff.
one of those homosexuals.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
It's only gay if you're smiling when you do it, and you know that. Now,
or
listen.
looking in the eyes.
Or looking in the eyes.
You can be frowning but looking in the eyes,
Correct.
or you can be smiling and not looking in the eyes, but you can't be doing both. Go ahead.
I'm so confused, but I'm horny. Now listen.
Oh Lord.
Here's what I'd say. I like that this is the grand experiment is alive and well. Democracy is alive and well. As long as we have this outrage on both sides and we have all this stuff, including lies, it's never been different in our republic. But I will say this. I do think Donald Trump is the most divisive figure in American politics in the history of our country. If I had a choice between Donald Trump and DeSantis, I'm voting for DeSantis. However, that's a fantasy. Because if you think DeSantis has a chance in the primaries against Donald Trump, you got another thing coming. So at the end of the day, this is going to be a redux. This is going to be a redux. It's going to be Biden, Trump, once again. And I
think that's very winnable because you've got Biden is seen as a proxy. He volunteered as retarded tribute for Obama.
Yep.
And you have 8, then you have 3, then you have another 4 of Biden. People see the contrast. I mean, the media will have to be working overtime, but it doesn't matter anymore.
But let me say this.
It's like a monkey throwing shit. Nobody watches them.
Trump, I will say this, Trump makes people, the left, so angry that it turns them into liars. They compromise everything they're about.
Yeah.
They will do whatever it takes to get that guy out because in their that's that right there.
Jarring. It's
Okay.
your neck, I think you go for.
Is that what it is?
It's
Okay.
going to be far worse in 2024 because, guys, we have to band together. We have to do whatever it takes to save democracy and keep Donald Trump out of office. And they'll use that to justify, oh, you're a Trump supporter? Bang. We already saw that.
Look, Trump corrupts. He corrupts the left. He corrupts mainstream corporate media because they will do whatever it takes. And I think that they are digging their own grave.
And you just touched on something very profound. I think you're right. And look, by the way, Donald Trump has a lot of flaws. You can say the same thing about the Trump sycophants who will never acknowledge anything that he does that is a fault. But like you just said, he corrupts the left. They lose their mind. And here's why. Because no one would argue this, right? Including, they just said it tonight, using words like chaos, using words like Donald Trump has no respect, for the rule of law or order. That's what they'll say. What do they mean to say, right? Ultimately, the synonym for that, the word they mean to use is he's uncontrollable. And the left is obsessed with control. They want to control what you eat. They want to control what you drive. They want to control what your state. They want to control what level of authority you have over your own children, over your own household. They want to control what you learn. They want to control who pays for what you learn. They want to control what you can charge for rent, or if you can charge at all.
They want to control the past.
They want to
control
They want to control the past. They want to control history. They want to control which history you learn. They want to control what is considered the truth. And when that's not allowed, they want to control new legislation to determine what is truthful. And we just heard the lies tonight. Donald Trump is if there is nothing else of value from Donald Trump, if you're a DeSantis person, and by the way, I like both of them to be clear.
Yeah.
I want both of them to play a role in national politics. Also love the Flying V. But Donald Trump, and I'll leave you with this, and by the way, you can go to louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub. Yep. There's $10 off. It's $79 annually if you use the promo code Crowder Town Hall, or if you never got your mug, if you signed up, let's say a few months ago, and you weren't able to get a refund, you can send in your screenshot, proof of purchase to free MugClub at louderwithcrowder.com, and we will give you 3 months free. That's how we know how to make it right. Look, we are entirely funded by viewers like you and a few sponsors every now and then. If there's nothing else to take from tonight, both the left and the right are saying it, but in 2 different ways. And you can like this, you can love it, you can hate it, you can take it or leave it. The left has admitted they are obsessed with control, and Donald Trump is uncontrollable. And speaking of someone who is imminently controllable, before we go to MugClub, and by the way, if you're watching on Rumble, just hit that little button right there. Right down there, you hit that button, you get to keep watching for another 30, 45 minutes. I don't know how long we're going to be going tonight. Let's check in our last. We spared no expense. We paid for it. We have our own camera right now at the White House. Check in what's going on with President Biden.
And if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
Celtic is going down for his nap. Ready for night-night.
And if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.